right, let's see what's going on with Hassan today. Yeah, we're doing the debunking.
Be clear before we get started on this journey. There is fraud taking place in Minnesota. There have been
Okay, so I've seen a gazillion videos calling out Hassan Piker for defending fraud. Right? It's not what, or denying fraud, right? No, right off the bat. Right? That's not at all what he's doing. But yeah, the video's going after him for debunking Tyler Oliveira. I mean, Nick Shirley are basically accusing him of, I don't know, like loving fraud as long as it's done by Somalis or something.
Investigations conducted into fraud, welfare fraud specifically, taking place in Minnesota. I've covered it already in Minneapolis. Okay. Yes, this is true. There's also been a lot of news coverage around the fraud that has taken place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, just like there's welfare fraud taking place everywhere else. I'm in favor of prosecuting everyone that does it, regardless of what their background is. There is no, oh, wait, but they're Somali Americans, so we shouldn't prosecute them. That's not how I play this game. It's ridiculous. Do this Somali thing because it's massive news. JD Vance tweeted about it, said this dude has done far more useful journalism than any of the winners of the 2024 Pulitzer Prize Centers. It's Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley is another one of these like Tyler Oliveira style individuals. And I think they are low-key getting dumber and dumber, if we're being real. Like, and by dumber, I don't mean like, oh, their arguments are getting dumber. Like the arguments are always dumb. Like Nick Shirley is objectively not a very smart person. Like you can hear it when he tries to speak. For example, like he is not the most intelligent person, but it's once again a testament to how little intellect you actually need to do right-wing propaganda. And he is one of those guys that I've kind of felt bad dunking on because it kind of feels like I'm making fun of someone with a significant intellectual disability in the past. Like I've literally caught myself being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this because it feels kind of but I mean, he is seemingly having a lot of impact.
I've had this issue too. This is why I quit the debate scene, chat. The last debate I did, I think it was like facilitated by Dylan Burns's I don't know what you want to call him, a producer or something, like Danabo was trying to, you know, kind of push me back into the debate circuit. But yeah, there was one debater that on the right that was just saying stupid shit. And every time it came like my turn to like, okay, fucking bury this dude, I was just like, I can't do it. It feels mean. It feels mean. Like, I don't need people to, you know, put in, I don't know, what do you call it? Like, right? When somebody's like an easy fight. I don't know. It just felt weird. It just like, you know, like it's one thing to, you know, push back on somebody who's doing harm. It's another thing to, I guess, make fun of somebody who is not intellectually keeping up with the debate. And that's what I was kind of, you know, that's what I was tasked to do in that last debate. It just felt bad. It just felt wrong.
But there is an entire like right-wing content ecosystem now that tries to do like Channel 5.
I don't like to punch down
Style coverage, but without any of the politics, regardless of what you may think about, you know, Andrew or whatnot. But a lot of these channels that start off as doing like Mr. Beast style content, then over the past couple of years have kind of made a pivot to right-wing investigations.
Nick Shirley does genuinely seem to, aside from being an awful person, Ellipsis says, have difficulties with thinking. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, what is his name? Tom Homan? Like from the Trump administration? I don't know if it's just the way the guy talks or what, but he does kind of.
And their Tyler Hitler Vera obviously was the OG pivoter, and there are definitely a lot of people that are doing that as well. I get it, right wings are latching onto it, so you reflexively have to defend it. No. I want to make something very.
I should have just said, "Well, bless your soul." Yeah, good point, Joshua.
Clear before we get started on this journey. There is fraud taking place in Minnesota. There have been investigations conducted into fraud, welfare fraud specifically, taking place in Minnesota. I've covered it already in Minneapolis. Okay. Yes, this is true. There's also been a lot of news coverage around the fraud that has taken place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, just like there's welfare fraud taking place everywhere else. I'm in favor of prosecuting everyone that does it, regardless of what their background is. There is no, oh, wait, but they're Somali Americans, so we shouldn't prosecute them. That's not how I play this game.
This is the biggest lie in the right wing, whether it is something like affirmative action or policing, right? When they will imply that like what is essentially the opposite of the truth, right? That somebody being black and being, you know, accused of a crime being investigated is less likely to be punished, and if they are punished, will be punished less, right? That there's some kind of woke mechanism, you know, in the courts and with police, right? When it's the opposite, where it's the opposite of that, right? You know what the police are like. They're not, look, I promise you, the problem with American police or with Minneapolis police, with any police, is not excessive wokeness, okay? It is quite the contrary of that. But you keep on hearing this stuff. You keep on getting these things that reinforce the idea that somehow actually the groups that are privileged are the groups that are able to claim, you know, marginalization. That somehow has like social or political cachet that it just doesn't. It's, again, the opposite. And so in this way, you invert the reality of systemic racism, and you know, imply the victim to be the beneficiary and the beneficiary to be the victim.
It's ridiculous. The actual inconsistent standard that is being placed here is not on the left, even though right-wingers try to claim that it's actually the left that is doing this. Right-wingers claim that it is actually leftists and liberals, libtards specifically, that say, oh, if it's a Somali person doing fraud, then you should let them go. This is not true. It's actually the right. It is actually the right that does this. The right says if a Somali person is committing fraud, then all Somalis are at fault. We should only focus on the Somalis doing fraud, and we should deport them. We should denaturalize them. Do not look at the white people that are committing fraud. Do not look at the...
If you're curious about why Trump and Vance are jumping on this, right, and Elon too, it's because they've been able to, you know, they've been able to do mass deportations. They've got concentration camps all over the country. They've deported both, you know, people who are not like undocumented people, as well as people that, you know, do have their documentations that are going along in the process of, you know, attaining residency, and people that are straight up American citizens, right? They have deported all three, right? When the promise, the ask, the campaign promise by Trump was about violent immigrants, right? Giving you the idea that somehow, Biden wasn't punishing immigrants, but wasn't punishing people that committed violent crimes just because they were immigrants. That was never true. But the people that voted for Trump based on this they were voting to, you know, deport violent criminals, which I don't think anybody, disagrees that people that commit violent crimes should be punished. Right. But it's what do you call it in war? You call this mission creep. You know what mission creep is, chat? Like if the US goes to Vietnam and the mission is to support the South Vietnamese government, but in doing so, they encounter, paramilitary and they, I don't know, like, right. This is how, when that mission creeps to more than just supporting the South Vietnamese government, like the initial mandate, that's when you get a fucking absolute disaster, a horror show, like what Vietnam turned, and not just Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. This was all because of mission creep. Yeah, that's the best example I could come up with, right? Still trying to defund the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. For anybody who doesn't know, that's the anti-fraud police, right? You want that organization running at full steam. if you are a consumer in this country and you don't like getting ripped off, you don't like getting scammed, you don't like getting overcharged by your bank, right? And yeah, Trump apparently still trying to, but anyway, yeah, Vietnam's a great example, right? You know, the mission goes from like supporting a puppet government, which is not good to begin with, you know, based on the Gulf of Tonkin incident being the rationale for the, you know, the surge of troops, going from that to Henry Kissinger ordering the bombing of countries like Laos and Cambodia, which basically facilitated another genocide in Cambodia, right? Brought the Khmer Rouge to power through the mission creep that happened in Vietnam. But yeah, what I'm saying, I'm comparing it to Trump's mission creep in terms of immigration. He goes in saying, I want to do something about these violent illegal or these violent undocumented immigrants. And he just tries to push it and push it and push it. And what are we pushing here? Well, if you know anything about like Somali Americans in Minnesota, you would know that most of them are citizens, right? They have their citizenship. So we're not talking about you know, deporting somebody that doesn't have their documentation, or even deporting somebody that's in the process of you know, getting documentation. Or you know, we're talking about, or even somebody who's in here on a green card or something like that. We're talking about denaturalizing. We're talking about taking citizenship away from people, which is, I would hope most Americans, you know, recognize a profoundly, you know, un-American policy to pursue.
You know, legacy Americans that are committing fraud. Do not look at the, you know, pandemic business loans, the PPP loan fraud that took place. Do not look at Brett Favre and all these other.
I'm sorry, the Red Power Ranger actor. What is this? I never saw this, chat. Like, did I just miss this story?
You know, legacy Americans that are committing fraud. Do not look at the, you know, pandemic business loan.
Red Power Ranger actor. So this was like a Power Ranger actor from like the movies, charged in multi-million-dollar PPP COVID. This was the Red Power. Oh God, he's 47. No, that's got to be like one of the original Power Rangers, right? That's like
the PPP loan fraud that took place. Do not look at Brett Favre and all these other people who will never see the inside of a.
Brett Favre did fraud too. Yeah, Mississippi welfare fraud. Yeah, a lot of the cases of this, like these government benefit fraud, you know, cases, right? You've got you know, maybe people that are receiving funds that they shouldn't, but there's always some larger figure, right? Whether it be Rick Scott or in this case Brett Favre, that is benefiting from the fraud on a much higher level, right? So in other words, Sam Cedar, I think, has talked about this. Let's see if we can find that recently, in fact. Yeah, see the thumbnail there? We found where all the fraud is coming from. Oops, it's United Healthcare.
Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. Again, we're having we're doing a special tech day today where we have tech issues and make it more adventurous. But fortunately for us here now, George Joseph, an investigative reporter for The Guardian US, has a piece out today that is just wild, particularly in light of the fact that we've just gone through 3 or 4 months of Doge trying to tell us that there's all sorts of like fraud,
abuse, and waste.
In government, and a lot of that fraud and waste is like focused on.
Yeah, they always want to make you think it's like somebody is getting too much welfare. Somebody is getting, you know, Medicare when they shouldn't. When in reality, oftentimes it's not consumer side fraud, it's provider side fraud. It's the, you know, them misrepresenting what they spent on a patient, or, you know, overcharging the government, or under, you know, supplying the patient, right? You know, not, you know, taking the money on the government side for services that they're not really providing for their patients.
People who are using the system, like Medicare subscribers, as opposed to Medicare providers. George, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Great to be.
So anyway, yeah, go watch that on your own. Where we found out where all the fraud is coming from is the name of the video. But yeah, I mean, this is just a common occurrence, and people's inclination are to want to blame recipients of, and this is what the kind of the problem that I have with TYT's coverage. We'll go over that in a second, right? It's not as bad as it has been on some issues. I don't think, I think they did a worse job on the eating the cats, eating the dogs, and the Tren de Aragua in Colorado, you know, apartment complex and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, generally the problem with TYT is even when there is like more nuance in their reporting than there is from the right wing side of things, they're kind of boosting like the right wing, like that you are left with the idea of like, wow, well, it looks like there's you know, too much services for homeless people. Maybe we should do something about that. And if you know where TYT's money has come from, and somebody like Katzenberg's view on homelessness, right? You'll understand why it's hard to buy their claim that they're just trying to provide a more nuanced version, right? They are feeding the moral panic in so many cases, including today. Anyway.
Prison cell. Do not look at like Rick Scott, for example. That person who was investigated and never really saw any serious criminal repercussions for doing Olympic level Medicare fraud is an American senator, is an American was the governor of Florida, right? Like, I can't even speak about Rick Scott without everybody going, be careful.
Rafe says, I've seen plans worth $500K be accrued with no services rendered. Yeah, it's so much easier for, like, I mean, really, like somebody that's on, you know, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, right? Do they really have the time to be working out a plot to do fraud? And anyway, if that ever happens, right? If they you know, they do check this stuff, and if you get like too much SNAP, if you get too much of whatever, you know, so whatever social welfare service that you're getting, the government will charge you back for it. TYT has stopped being relevant a while ago. Yes and no, Nadia. Their channel's not very relevant, unfortunately. Their media appearances and their Twitter presence still are.
My point is, investigate and prosecute everybody. Okay, do not try to hyper focus on like, oh, this is an immigrant problem. I don't want this to happen at all. I want it across the board investigated. This is not whataboutism. This is consistency. Having said that, the coverage that you will see here has some correct elements, like some real elements that are alarming and are suspicious and may even tie back into the investigations that were already being conducted in Minneapolis specifically. But you will very quickly understand why the coverage takes this weird turn.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place?
They got all the money in there, chat. He was just trying to ask where the money. They were hiding the money as he was walking in there. They were like, "Quick, hide the money! Quick, shovel the money into the closet." You know, like, right? They got all the money. They got all the fraud money in there, right? They're like stuffing like dollar bills into their bras and stuff, right?
In Minnesota.
Sorry. I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that?
Yelling in Somali. Does it say yelling in Somalian though? That's how you know you got a real interesting
place here in Minnesota.
Sorry. I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on?
Yelling in Somalian. Yeah, that's classic. I mean, chat. The language is called Somali, right? The culture is Somali. Somalian Somalian is not it's not a word, but anyway.
1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children? There's no children inside this building.
Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost
Somali-ran. See, this is like if you're an English, you know, like you can kind of tell. You can kind of tell who we're dealing with when it's captioned as Somalian, and then like all this money is ran through Somalian.
history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia. These fraudsters have worked hand in hand with the Minnesota government as
This is classic. This could be a Reagan campaign commercial, chat. Except you'd have, you know, you'd have like you'd have Black Americans instead of you like right you like right. It's the same kind of shit, right? When you show like these, you know, I don't know if these are mug shots or like prison pictures or whatever. Right. But yeah, Reagan won. Oh my God. Was it Reagan? Was it Bush? I'm thinking of Bush, aren't I? The 1988 election, George H.W. Bush versus Michael Dukakis. And the deciding factor was that Dukakis had let a guy named Willie Horton, sorry, I shouldn't even say it this way. Dukakis was governor of Massachusetts when a guy named Willie Horton was let out, you know, as per the way that the prison worked on a weekend pass, ended up killing, you know, and raping somebody on that weekend pass. And they just like ran with it, just would show the picture of this guy, right? Show a you know, a black man in a prison uniform and talk about, you know, it's just classic fear mongering, except the you know, the identity. The only thing that's changed here between 2025 and 1988 is the you know, is the identity of the people that are being demonized here. But you know, it's still very similar, still a very similar dynamic.
they enabled billions of dollars to be given to fraudulent businesses underneath welfare purposes. Some of this money eventually landed in the hands of terrorist groups in Somalia, like the
Do you see why I said he's just kind of not very smart? I'm not even making fun of him because he's like a conservative.
Yeah, I don't mean to be an intellectual elitist, all right? I'm not saying that you gotta, you know, that I'm not trying to be a linguistic prescriptivist and saying that people that said, you know, ran through instead of run through or bad, or that, you know, I'm not trying to do any of that. I am, however, saying that just like, you know, on your daycare, you know, if the daycare sign says Leering Center instead of Learning Center, as is going to come up later, that might not be where you want to send your kids for daycare, right? If your investigative journalist is struggling communicating, you know, in his native language, that might be a sign that you're not getting top quality investigative journalism anyway.
Or something, or at least portraying himself as a conservative or something. Like he just genuinely is not very intelligent.
Shabab and others enrich themselves all at the US taxpayers' expense. And in this video we will break down all of the fraud from start to finish, from going to the fraudulent businesses and confronting the people who are making millions of dollars from the government. And
yo, what is that AI? What the fuck was that? I'm sorry, I got it.
Video we will break down all of the fraud from start to finish, from going to the fraudulent businesses and confronting the people who are making millions.
Sora, oh god, he did it. Chat, he just burned down a fucking rainforest for racism. Look at all these Somalis with fancy cars. They shouldn't have those fancy cars. They stole those cars from you.
Millions of dollars from the government. And we will also be confronting the incompetent government leaders who let this fraud happen. And to make this happen, I met up with a man who's been doing his own investigation.
It's always the same meta. You go to an area that is in the news, right? And you go with like a very obvious political purpose, like you have a political agenda, okay? If this investigation is to be conducted in a serious manner, I'm all with you. I'm right there with you. I love when ProPublica does like this, right? I love when Democracy Now! Or Drop Site News or numerous other independent news outlets actually take the time and go and properly investigate fraudulent activities such as this one. Okay, I cover those reporters all the time. These reporters don't exclusively cover, you know, liberal positions or leftist positions either. They just look at crime taking place and they uncover it and they investigate it. Okay, but they do it in a professional manner. And the reason why these investigations should be conducted in a professional manner is because if you do it in an unprofessional manner, specifically to cut propaganda for the Republican administration, you end up actually harming the actual investigators, the prosecutors that are looking into the situation. This is what I like to call the pedo hunter phenomena. When you actually do not take seriously pedophilia and the criminal investigations that must be conducted very carefully around child predators, you end up allowing a lot of child predators to roam free. And you're doing it in that situation for content purposes. And it's disgusting. Okay. Vigilantism unironically ends up harming the actual procedures that must take place for justice to be.
Ratch KP says it legit reminds me of those boobs who interviewed Netanyahu Yolk, or the Yolk boys. I mean, that's a great name for them, considering how much egg they have on their face. But no, they're the Nelk brothers, the Nelk boys.
Served. If your goal is sensationalization, if your goal is clout, if your goal is to cut propaganda specifically for, you know, JD Vance or whatever, then you're going to end up not doing the best kind of investigation. The thing is, he doesn't do investigative journalism. His video is barely above TMZ level. In fact, TMZ has superior methodology and ethics, which says a lot about Nick Shirley. Yeah, of course. And I think this is one of the unfortunate downsides of the independent media dominance that's taking place. There's a lot of good that's come out of this, and there are a lot of wonderful investigative reporters. There's a lot of awesome news outlets out there. Obviously, I wouldn't exist if it wasn't for...
Oh God, I forgot. For my viewers in Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, all of Southeast Asia, right? It is New Year's Eve. And myself, yeah. It is New Year's Eve tonight here. It will be New Year's Eve for the rest of y'all in the United States, Canada, Mexico, and South America. I believe tomorrow. And then I don't know what, in Europe, you're like 12 hours away from it or so.
The internet, and also independent commentary and independent journalism in general. But there's also the downsides of it, where you do the whole, like, I'm doing my own research, and then you focus not on the actual criminality or the crime. You focus more so on how Somali this style of crime actually...
You're on New Year's Eve too, Emily?
...is.
For years now, as he has seen the fraud firsthand, his name is David. Let's get into this and be prepared to be shocked. How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been...
In chat, we got to listen to this guy because he did his own research, but what credentials does he have? I wonder, what does he have? Is this his office, I guess? I am trying to figure out, like, what are those pictures? Like, what do you think this guy does? Yeah, this is the other thing. We don't even get this motherfucker's spoiler. We don't get his credentials. We don't even get his last name.
Revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion. Involved is that where
this guy's a QAnon clown?
My office is here in Minneapolis. I'm sort of in the heart of all of this fraud, and I would see these child care centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day. And all
No, David is not David does not have credentials. He's a concerned citizen, and
he's doing his own research. You should always listen to a man doing his own research, right?
That's another part of the issue here, okay? Because he's basically delegating the task of digging into this information to random concerned citizen from the neighborhood. This is, again, the Tyler Oliveira method. Like, you're supposed to be doing that. Investigative reporting dictates that telling you right now you're supposed to be doing your own. You're supposed to be digging deep into the files, the data, going to the local government, or even if you get this information from, you know, some random Midwestern guy, you should probably verify it, right?
I see a guy standing out front smoking, and then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing. I said, well, where do these kids play? And so I started.
Is that right, Ray?
I said, this place is licensed for 80 children.
Is that right? We were anticipating the release of the content nuke. Yeah, I think I remember covering something to do with Ethan on last New Year's Eve. It was some kind of pre-content nuke deal.
They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once. And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing? So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called...
Chat, what do you want to bet? I don't know if you know this, right? But with a bus, or I think what he's describing is like vans or whatever, right? If you run into the bus driver after the bus driver has dropped the kids off at school in the morning, and let's say the bus driver is driving back to, the bus depot, there'll be no kids on that bus. It's crazy. It's crazy. That must be fraud. There's no kids on. You're a school bus, and yet there's no kids on the bus, right? If you find if it's the afternoon and the bus driver's dropped off the last kid on their route, you'll also see no kids in the bus. What the fuck is going on here? This must be massive fraud, right? It's just a weird thing to like. It's just such a weird conclusion to draw. I saw a van that had a childcare center's name on it, and there were no kids in there. Aren't there supposed to be kids at a childcare? It's not just van drivers. It's supposed to be kids. What are they doing? Oh, it must be fraud.
Non-emergency medical.
This is the whole thing, right? They have now found some fraud going on in Minnesota perpetrated by Somali, individuals. I think the ringleader was like a, white woman, right? But they found this like cluster of fraud that, like a lot of the people involved in it were Somali. And now they're like, anything with Somali people, we're going to just assume that it's, you see a childcare. Well, it must be a fake childcare. There must be no kids in there. It's just a front and
transportation.
Yeah. Where are the kids at?
So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back.
Wait, did I catch Nick backing away from the lady yelling at him? The lady that was saying he's ICE? Or you mean just then, Ratch?
There are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
So right here we have all this paperwork.
By the way, there was already an audit that took place, like a professional audit that took place. Here's from Minneapolis Post. State government. What we learned from the audit of Minnesota's Child Care Assistance Program, no suitcase full of cash, but plenty of baggage. These are programs that have been audited on numerous occasions. Minnesota's legislative auditor released on Wednesday a long-awaited investigation into a subsidy that helps low-income parents afford child care, and it was a doozy. Fraud, fighting among state workers.
Wait, in the hallway, you're talking about the I think she like a councilwoman or something? Yeah, it's like towards the end of the video. They might have shown a preview of it before. But yeah, if you watch it till the end of the video, right? Like, it's not that she doesn't have answers for Nick and his investigation team, which is like what, 2 guys in balaclavas, two guys who literally look like ICE, right? And then this old dude, David, who is kind of giving somebody, given the fact that he's outside of childcare centers asking, where are the children? Show us the children, right? He's kind of giving somebody that you don't want around a childcare, right? And that's his team that he rolls up with. And he's surprised that people don't want to talk to him.
Policies and subpoenas all made their way into the report's 64 pages. Naturally, state lawmakers from the 2 major companies used it to draw completely separate conclusions.
Yeah, Teo, I kind of do. Right, here's what I think. I think there's a news gap that happens just naturally, maybe between Christmas and New Year's, right? That people are traveling. There's not as many people watching the news. And therefore, and maybe there's like less stuff going on in general. And I think that just like the eating the cats, eating the dogs. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong about this, but this is how I remember. Didn't that take place around Memorial Day? Yeah, wait. Yeah, I think it was like Memorial Day, right? Memorial Day weekend. Wasn't that around the time that the whole thing blew up in Ohio, and then the the debate with Trump that happened right after that? But yeah, I do think that they found a gap in the news, and they're trying to basically get started. Oh, it's Rach. Sorry, thank you. That helps, right? Ratchet, not Ratch as in Ratchet. Rach as in Rachel. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Oh my God.
Came a 2018 campaign issue when a sensational television story tied fraud in childcare centers to terrorist organizations in Somalia, something that Nick Shirley brought up in the beginning. But one of the key things
you're like, of all the pronunciations that you could, of all the mispronunciations you could have there,
they found was that there was no actual evidence of a connection between the state's child care assistance program and Al-Shabaab or other terrorists. Okay. Having said that, they did actually find a litany of issues. This is precisely the reason why this story has never really gone away. And it's something that local reporters, independent reporters, and investigators have looked into over and over again since 2019. And of course, remember, this is 2019. What happened in the end of 2019? COVID-19, which accelerated this sort of fraudulent activity by 1,000,000%. And not just in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but all around the country. One of the biggest examples of this, of course, is the PPP loan frauds that took place. Over $200 billion in pandemic business loans appear to be fraudulent, a watchdog says. This is an investigation.
So again, we're worried because this is an unprecedented. So again, chat. I think even TYT said this. If what we're talking about is, $1 million to $100 million dollars in fraud, right? That's pretty normal, right? That's that's something that you see a lot of, right? But they're talking about it being 9 to 18 billion, right? And that's, that's not a small amount of fraud, right? But look at this PPP thing, right? Very prominent program, like almost like you'd say one of the flagship programs as far as COVID goes. And, these are loans that go to business owners, maybe some to small business owners, but a lot to not so small business owners. 200 billion fraudulently taken. And this is not a big story at all, because it's somehow okay when business owners do it. I don't know.
From an independent,
I think we got our priorities wrong.
Watchdog from June 27th, 2023. Of the $1.2 trillion in federal aid dispersed on an emergency basis to small businesses during the pandemic, at least $200 billion or 17% have gone to scammers. That's the latest, most complete assessment of the potential fraud by the Office of Inspector General of the Small Business Administration, which oversaw the disbursement of the aid. Now, all of those loans were basically forgiven. They were not supposed to be forgiven. They were supposed to actually have better interest rates, and only if you actually paid the employees and engaged in disbursement like you claimed you would. But many people did not do that, and yet they had their loan forgiveness. And that's a much larger.
They've buried this. This is a huge amount of fraud, right? This is money that, were the government able to claw it back some way, would actually have an impact on the budget. At least on a yearly budget, right?
Number than we're talking about, even though ironically enough, I'm willing to bet that a certain percentage of the Minneapolis child care fraud scheme that they're talking about most likely came from that as well. So just understand, a claim that the state was defrauded of $100 million could not be proven. The same goes for payments to terrorists. Last May, Fox 9 ran an investigation.
Oh yeah. Lest we forget, the small business of what is their business called? TED Industries, TED Entertainment Industries, or something like that. The H3 podcast, these small business H3 podcast, getting PPP loans and having them forgiven. Is that right? I looked at ProPublica's PPP tracker all the time. You should see how many times and how many variations of TED Entertainment got and took. Yeah, we should take a look at that.
that claimed fraud in the child care program was rampant and perhaps even as high as $100 million a year. Here's the other thing that's very frustrating, right? You literally cannot find a single mainstream article about the Minnesota fraud, not even one. This is utter bullshit. Not only am I showing you one of the actual investigations that took place all the way back in 2019, but the notion that no one was in the mainstream was actually covering this news story is idiotic. Of course they were. This is objectively a falsehood. The problem here, of course, is that on the right, nobody ever gets punished for lying like this. If you lie in a politically biased direction, no one ever checks you on that lie. No one ever actually chooses to look in.
Oh shit, yeah, $82,000. Okay. And it had 83. Wait, how does this work? Includes any. Oh, I see. Okay. So they took out an $82,790 loan. We're talking about TED Entertainment Incorporated. I'm reading this from the ProPublica website, the PPP tracker, right? So they took out $82,790. They got $83,595 forgiven, right? The excess in the amount of forgiven is including the accrued interest, right? So they took out a loan for $82,000, accrued interest up to almost $84,000, but then instead of paying it back, the loan was forgiven. There are 5 jobs, right? 5 jobs reported. It sounds like the crew. So yeah, 66,000 went to payroll. So basically, Ethan did not have to pay. Ethan got the government to pay the crew, it sounds like. And also, it looks like his rent, $16,559 for rent, $66,231 for payroll, 5 employees. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it got approved in May the 1st of 2020. God damn, chat. I always wonder, like, would I have been eligible for like a PPP loan? I mean, I don't think so. Like, I mean, you could call what I do maybe a business, but I don't have employees, so maybe I don't think it. I could have applied for this shit. I didn't even get my stimulus. Fuck.
Into whether or not there is truth to this statement.
Chris Brown got one? God damn it. Everybody got one except me. Everyone got paid during COVID, and I was just like, well, I guess I'll just subsist on these, you know, on the student loan money that I haven't God damn. Like, I was in school at the time.
This is genuinely frustrating. Okay, so that's number one. How is it that a simple guy with a camera can uncover $110 million in a fraud in a single day, but a giant billion-dollar media organization behind the glass door somehow missed it for years? It's not that they couldn't find.
How much for rent? It was like 16,000 something.
It's that they wouldn't.
Actually, the rent number looks kind of low for their studio.
Idea that mainstream news in the United States of America and in the Western world in general, because there are similar examples to what we talked about with like the grooming gangs in the UK, the notion that like police, investigators, independent auditors, and numerous other people are too woke to properly and adequately investigate the types of fraud that's taking place in Minneapolis because it's Somali Americans conducting this fraud is insane. The idea that mainstream media is refusing to cover it because of some woke reason is also insane. And it's also untrue. Okay, this got 19,000 likes. Kathy Young replied and said, "How is it that you're a liar and yet your bullshit spreads like wildfire? It is because a lie can go halfway around the world before the truth can tie its laces." To get up and report on it. Key questions about Minnesota's fraud schemes. Tim Walz can't admit the downsides of too much welfare. Opinion: welfare fraud is far too common. This is just from the Washington Post. Of course, there are plenty of people, especially in major media, that already despise welfare to begin with and want to cut welfare to begin with. Dave Weigel says, the initial New York Times story ran on 11/30 and definitely supercharged interest in the scandal. Wasn't simplistic either. Included both Garland DOJ bringing the fraud cases and the feeding our future scammers crying racism when they got investigated. Not only was the the investigation covered. Even the fact that the defense against that investigation featured the actual scammers crying foul by claiming this is actually racist scrutiny, not dissimilar to what we saw in the BLM stuff as well, in the BLM philanthropic structure for the international organization.
Wait, what the fuck is this? Chris Brown got almost $9 million in grant money during COVID?
There were a lot of people who kept saying, oh, this is really racist that people care about BLM. I was not one of those people. If you recall, I said BLM as a movement is valid, is correct, but the BLM organization was definitely getting up to some very improper shit. A lot of people yelled at me for it at the time. They said I was fucking racist. They said I was white supremacist for this take as well.
Yeah, you got to understand, chat. BLM, the phrase, when it started, it was a chant, okay? It was a movement. It was a chant. Nobody owns BLM. Nobody started up a business called BLM and said, hey, you people want to protest this stuff, right? You know, that's not, BLM is not a business, right? There is a business that, or a organization that Hassan's talking about that like, you know, took the name BLM, but that is not, you know, that is like, you know, one group of people doing who knows what, and in this case, it looks like they were that their finances were not so clean in that organization. People will take that and be like, see, look, BLM's corrupt, right?
So, you know, while white supremacy is a real construct and certainly harms non-white people with regular frequency, there are definitely going to be instances.
Mark Wayne Mullen did it too. Mullen raged. Oh, I hate these motherfuckers. Chat, do you know supposedly they're going to start like docking people's, they're going to start garnishing wages supposedly in this month, right? I think that the month they start garnishing wages is the month that people will have had enough. I think the Trump administration goes for fucking what little wages that we have at their peril, all right? And there will be hell to pay, especially considering the amount of fraud that they just allowed to fucking happen. And yet, no, if you want to go, if you want to get a higher education, if you want to contribute more to your community, that's a loan. And that's not forgivable. All this other shit, very much for, yeah, H3 just got their loans fucking forgiven. I can't do that.
Where scammers are falsely claiming white supremacy in an effort not to have people investigate their shit. Does that actually matter to the investigators? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I find it really strange that people will make it seem like cops are letting or prosecutors are letting people go because they're afraid of being called racist. This happens in the fantasies and in the minds of racist people in general. Was that a real thing that in the Minneapolis fraud case was deployed by the people that were perpetrating the criminal acts of fraud? Absolutely. How much success did it have is insane, okay? How much success?
Okay, so just to be clear, he's talking about the success that the claim, so these, you know, the people with, and they're not just Somali people, but yeah, the majority of, there was like 92 businesses that got charged with fraud. I think like 84 were Somali run. Some of the Somali run businesses, when they got charged, said, hey, this is racism. Like, why are you coming after me? Right. That's obviously a bad faith, defense. They came after you for doing fraud, and it doesn't matter who the fuck you are. But like what Hassan is pointing out is that this was nobody backed off of them. Nobody said, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, we were going to investigate you for fraud, but let's just end this investigation right now because it turns out you're Somali and I don't want anybody to think I'm racist. Right? That never fucking happened. Yeah, people that are caught doing fraud will say anything that they think might possibly get them out of the consequences, but it didn't work. Right?
That counter had is, I think, the part of the hysteria in this conversation. The hysteria is the notion that cops and investigators and prosecutors were actually being too woke.
And how are you getting all this information about the fraud?
A lot of it is through my own research And then I have some contacts at the Capitol going back many, many years. And so the data that I'm getting is 100% accurate, coming directly from research done.
And it's probably the same data that you could get by just looking at the Minnesota DHS site. Let's be real, right?
By people at the state capitol.
Exactly. I got connections.
All this paperwork right here, what are we looking at?
The areas of fraud that I have numbers for are mostly related to childcare. This is massive fraud that is beyond anyone's imagination, the scope. And so, for example, there's a childcare not far from here in Minneapolis that has two childcares listed at the same address. And together, they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there ever, and I've been by that place at least 100 times.
These Somalians, these groups are setting up these daycares, these childcare centers, getting money from the government, but there's no kids.
No kids. Never had any of them. They're all fraught with violations, and even though they have these violations, they're still in operation and they're still getting money. And it's millions of dollars for every one of them every year.
And who's getting the money? And where are they getting the money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom
Snap and Crackle says, I saw on JStalk stream that Minnesota Republicans deployed this guy. They are deploying this narrative tactically to help their Republican governor candidate. Isn't it Mike Pillow? I think it's Mike Pillow. Aren't they running Mike Pillow? So Tim Walz is going to run for a third term as Minnesota governor, and I think, am I right about this? Is it what's his actual name? Mike Lindell, I think is his name, right? I think they're running the Mike. Am I wrong about this? I think I heard it was going to be Mike Lindell, but yeah, they're probably going after the governor, and maybe they're going to try to use this against Ilhan Omar. Doubt he's the preferred candidate. Yeah, I can't imagine him winning a primary, but I don't know. Maybe so. Depends on what Minnesota Republicans are like.
Bottom line is it's taxpayer money, so it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people.
I need you guys to understand something, by the way. This is very nefarious propaganda. It's not just like anti-black, anti-Muslim, anti-Somali, claiming that fraud is almost entirely
Wait,
done.
Ethan got over 1 million? I looked at the PPP site. Maybe there's, are you saying like all together? I looked at the PPP, the ProPublica PPP tracker for TED Entertainment Incorporated, and came up with, I think it said like 80, almost 85,000.
By these pesky Somalis, right? These scary Somalis. All Somalis are responsible for welfare fraud. But the other side, this is a double Monty. The other side of this issue is that it is very anti-welfare. So this is perfect for even a lot of capitalists who will claim to be anti-racist, but actually despise government spending on any sort of welfare initiatives, and will take advantage of this news story to say, see, the reality of the matter is there's a lot of fraud taking place at welfare.
Oh, I should have looked for Teddy Fresh too. If you include Teddy Fresh, it's almost 400,000. And did they pay any of it? Did they pay any of it back, Rave?
We just have to cut it. We just have to cut welfare. Nothing we can do about it.
The state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the mad.
And that's the other thing they're doing, right? They're going for a pretext to denaturalize U.S. citizens, right? With the demonization of Somalis being the pretext there, right? Most Somalis in Minnesota, they're citizens, right? So you can't kick them out for being undocumented. They're not. You can't kick them out for being, you can't revoke their green card. They're citizens, right? So what they're going for is the ability to denaturalize, which is the beginning of their policy of remigration. If you're from Europe, you might know what remigration is all about. You might know it as a far right, basically a Nazi, like a Nazi policy goal, remigration, right? In other words, taking people out, citizen or not. shipping them back to wherever you think they should go, even if they don't fucking speak the language or whatever, right? You know, that's you know, that's their goal with this shit. And the other goal, yeah, to take down Tim Walz in Minnesota, prevent any possibility for a presidential run in 2028 or really in any year, and then and then probably also, you know, just attack the social safety net more, right? The more people think that the social safety net is just a huge boondoggle from fraud, the more for fraud, the more people are going to be willing to cut it. And this is what, you know, Anna Kasparian, when she claims that, like, no, I'm not against social safety nets, I'm just against like these programs because these programs are, you know, fraudulent and whatever. It's like, well, yeah, but when you jump on a right-wing, you know, moral panic, you are enabling those programs to be cut. And I don't believe you, Anna, when you're getting money from people like Katzenberg, who definitely are not looking to, they're not looking, let's just put it this way. He's not looking to end homelessness by giving people houses. Let me just put it that way. What's up, Vamps?
Is you have daycare, so you have adult daycare, and then you have child care, and then you have health care. And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation, and a lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses.
Wait, what is this? What is this? Industries involved in fraud, adult, what is this, adult something? I'm gonna have to rewind it slightly. Adult daycare, so for seniors, I'm guessing child daycare and healthcare. These are the industries involved in the fraud.
All of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation, and a lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses. There's one building.
Did we need that chart? Like, wow.
That has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 20.
What are the comments looking like on this vid? Are people buying this? Oh, absolutely. The beauty of people like,
it's almost like the businesses are in the neighborhoods that, you know, it's a
Nick Shirley and even Tyler Oliveira initially, is that they get to present themselves as totally independent and not right wing at all. They get to present themselves.
Yeah, the view from nowhere, and his like you know, like his way of talking, you know, his incorrect usage of grammar and difficulty speaking intelligibly is kind of feeding into that. Hey, I'm just a dude out here. I don't know anything. I'm not a political operative or anything, but even I can see that it's not right to rip the good taxpayers off for all this money. It's not right what these Somalis are doing. I don't know. He's just trying to give you this, aw shucks, you know, kind of presentation, so that it's, you know, if you had JD Vance making this video, obviously people would be like, okay, it's JD Vance, right? I know where he's coming from. I know what his motivations are. This guy is, you know, it's not even Tyler Oliveira, right? Somebody that is known at this point to be a right-wing operative, right? It's the new right-wing operative.
Themselves as like,
and don't call him Shirley.
Like, you know, guys who basically took on the mantle of real investigative reporting.
And yes, he is serious.
Because nobody would. Not realizing that these guys are not apolitical at all. As a matter of fact, they're basically cutting propaganda for JD Vance, cutting propaganda for the Trump administration. And that's the problem. I'm just asking questions, and I'm finding a lot of fraud here will play a major role. Now, for the record, in terms of like a sequence of mass fraud taking place in not just Minneapolis, but all around the country, especially at the point of like taking money from government initiatives and instead of actually reappropriating those funds to things that matter, to improving the lives of the people who are less fortunate, who desperately need said funds, is it lining up people's pockets? Of course it is. This happens all the time. It's completely unacceptable, and it's good to actually punish the people who are engaging in this. So my criticism of this sort of commentary is twofold. One, because it's like inherently anti-welfare propaganda, because the final the heavily implied through line throughout the videos like this is basically that like welfare is bad and we need to cut it. And it justifies the right-wing position, the right-wing framing, which isn't to fix the problem, tackle the fraudulent aspects, and make sure that people who have engaged in this sort of welfare fraud are criminalized, punished, and then it never happens again. And we make sure that we reapproach.
Rach is saying, look up Israel Somaliland Sovereign State Project 2025. I actually saw a video about that yesterday. So Somaliland is a potential... It's an area of Somalia that's acting somewhat sovereign, a potential like breakaway republic, and it looks like part of Project 2025 is to separate it from the rest of Somalia, and it's basically to benefit the United States global hegemonic project, right? I think Israel has recognized them. Funny, but irony of ironies, right? Israel recognizes Somaliland as independent and just not Palestine, I guess, right?
Reappropriate the funds adequately so that people actually get the help that they desperately need. But it goes along with the anti-welfare propaganda that Republicans are constantly trying to cut. Okay. The bad thing is the fraud, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a black person doing the fraud. It doesn't matter if it's a white person doing the fraud. You have to be anti-fraud, okay? The bad thing is not...
Did Santa finally run out of batteries? I haven't seen Santa move so far.
...that it's Somalis doing the fraud. The bad thing is not that there is... the bad thing is not welfare in general that sometimes leads to people engaging in fraudulent activities off of the funds that they're getting from the government inappropriately. The crime is the crime no matter who's doing it, and it should be investigated and it should be punished.
Yeah, fully 50. The tracker of Project 2025 says it's 50% complete.
Ironically enough, and especially in this
instance, it's mostly Kaya that sets off Santa.
Minneapolis, they have been investigating it. Now, do I trust the current administration to conduct a proper and thorough investigation and actually find every single person that is responsible for it? Not necessarily. Unfortunately, with less confidence in the FBI, with less confidence in our prosecutors, with less confidence in our investigators, it's more and more vigilante justice is going to be enacted. And the issue here in the long term...
And look, I don't know if we should get to it now, but vigilante justice, strangely enough, or not strangely enough, is exactly what Asmongold is calling for on Twitch, right? He's literally making a call to violence. Remember when Hassan said that if Republicans really stood against Medicare fraud, that they would kill Rick Scott, right? Now, obviously, Hassan was not. Hassan is not trying to, use that as a call to action because Republicans aren't going to listen to Hassan Piker, right? Him saying they should do something makes it less likely. But what he's saying is that, like, if you got this much smoke for people, doing like this little amount of fraud, then you got the big enchilada right here in Rick Scott. You should go fucking ham on this guy. And he, obviously said it in a way that is exploitable. And it was exploited by people like Asmongold that fully on claimed that Hassan was trying to trick the Republicans into executing Rick Scott. Fucking crazy fucking shit. But nobody in the based community, right? None of the cockroaches were mentally acute enough to latch onto that to figure out that's where it doesn't make sense. But now Hasmongold is just straight up saying that, well, I think that the people should intimidate the cops so that the cops no longer protect the Somalis, and then just do the purge. Is that what you're saying, Asmongold? Yeah, but anyway, you're going to see in a second why Asmongold will never be banned from Twitch for that or for anything else.
The vigilante justice.
Are you saying Kaya and Santa are having an affair? God damn, that would be a real scandal, Joshua. Not only does Hassan shock his dog, he lets Santa. Okay. I don't know.
Clickbaiters, unfortunately, will have a hard time conducting a proper and thorough investigation, and it actually might muddy the waters. It actually might allow some of these criminals to get away.
They will not speak to anyone outside the community and talk about what's going on within the community. They vote as a block And so when you're a politician, you're saying, look, I've got 100,000 people in Minnesota that if I...
Yeah, Asmund wants to invoke Mad Max rules to run them out. Chat, I am not going to feel sorry if I ever see a clip of Asmongold where there's a glow of torchlight outside his fucking house, and he's like, what's all that noise? What's happening? What's going on? Fuck around and find out, Asmongold. Fuck around and find out what happens.
do something for the community, they're going to vote for me. And that's what it's all about, is getting the votes. And then the people here in Minnesota, you hear this term, Minnesota nice. I'm so sick of that term. The people here are so afraid of...
No, if a group of angry protesters ever gathered around Asmongold's house, they'd probably find themselves unable to breathe, right? I'm sure that the miasma issuing forth from Asmongold's house would be enough to drive them away. No, what am I saying, chat? Asmongold's got nothing to worry about. He's never going to have the French peasants show up with pitchforks and torches at his house.
Being called a racist or an Islamophobe, and they're afraid of their own shadow. And I don't understand. This is our future generations are going to have to pay for all this fraud, and they just want to bury their heads in the sand and go on and just not worry about it.
Ew, the blood wall. I forgot about that, Rach.
Tim Walz saying there's organized crime in Minnesota. What did he do about it? Nothing. You got organized crime? What are you doing? This is the...
Yeah. Oh, the other side of this is like this is also very directed at Tim Walz as well. It's like a very anti-Tim Walz thing. I love how Tim Walz is responsible for anyone who commits a crime in the state, but Elon is not responsible for the hundreds of thousands of deaths he knew would happen after he destroyed U.S. aid. Of course not. It's not Donald Trump that's responsible. In the eyes of these people, Donald Trump is never responsible, for example. Donald Trump can only be failed, okay? Donald Trump cannot fail. He can only be failed, you know? That's just how it is. Is there a duty for Tim Walz as the governor to adequately, to ensure that there's like adequate prosecution? Absolutely, okay? Does he have a responsibility on this? I think so. Yeah, I do.
Careful, because these people are very violent. They're exceptionally violent.
Now with all of David...
Exceptionally.
Well, this is actually 2 daycares are registered here. One of them is Mako, which you see on this sign. The other one is Mini Child Care Center. And between the two of these child care centers, they're pulling in about $3 million.
Here, I'll give you one example. Even if this business itself is improper, right? It is fraudulent. The irony is the way that they arrive at that conclusion, or the way that they build that narrative, is by talking about SOS filings and showing that like the same place has 2 different filings. You have umbrella corporations that are a part of the same exact the same exact company, for example. You can have numerous files.
Yeah. All the smoke in the world for the future generations having to pay for, fraud or whatever, perceived fraud. None for the trillions of spent on bombs for Israel, or the Iraq War, or any of the myriad of other things. That ridiculous. Like, how much do you think that ICE is costing us? How much do you think that's costing us, chat? I mean, like, there's a lot of benefits for people to. I'm not suggesting anybody should, right? For to sign up for ICE. They're kind of sweetening up the deal a lot to try to get more people, out there as their masked Gestapo. I want to. Can any of the mods figure out if Nadia maybe is behind on the stream?
For the same business. This doesn't automatically imply.
Yeah, if you have your, like, sometimes people, if you're settings up for the stream get set way back, then you'll be talking about stuff from 2 hours ago, and maybe that's what's happening. I don't think I don't think any of the comments are being moderated, but
that there is.
But if Nadia is indeed watching the stream behind, Nadia will not hear what I'm saying for another 2 hours. So
fraud happening there. Okay, there could be in this circumstance.
$1 a year. And there are no children. Every facility you go to, the windows will be blocked out, so you can't see in. There's nobody here. You won't see a single child at any of these facilities.
There are indeed no windows. All the windows are blacked out right here. All right, let's go in.
No.
And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the door?
The other part of the problem here is, again, purely on the basis of like conducting real reporting on this matter, which is, again, a very serious crime, that needs to have a proper, cohesive investigation. A proper investigation is necessary in this circumstance. But if you just like leave it up to random guy with a YouTube channel, I don't know if he's going in the middle of the day. I don't know if he's going in the afternoon. I don't know if he's like going at a time where this business actually has like children in it. And there's no way to confirm when you are doing it in a way where I don't know if he's going on the fucking week. When you have no way of seeing the verifiable truth here, and it's like very clearly a one-sided bias framing, even if there's truth to the overall, the overarching criminal fraudulent activity, there is a likelihood of spreading that to random businesses that aren't actually engaging in the criminal activity. Do you understand? And of course, a lot of people will just simply say, holy cope. This is not cope. I'm telling you how this is supposed to be.
Wow. You got just these like binary minds here where like the only two possible takes that you could have are either there's no fraud, nothing bad going on at all in Minnesota, everything's above board, or you know, Somalis are a criminal hive mind sucking up all the, you know, social welfare through fraud, and the Minnesota government is too woke to do anything about it, right? That's what this chatter, that is probably an Asmongold chatter, if I'm gonna guess, right? That's what this chatter is like. Wow, holy cope. No, come on. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, can't we? Or is this just what politics has devolved to?
Conducted. As someone who works with investigative reporters with regular frequency, you will never find a person that will say this kind of investigation is properly conducted. We went to a random local who had issues, and we didn't cross-reference the information that they have. We didn't cross-reference the information that they have.
Oh, okay. It was about the remigration thing. Okay, that makes sense.
And we didn't do a thorough investigation into the claims being made at all. And we just simply went there. Who knows at what time? Who knows at what place? Who knows if it's over the weekend or not? You know what I mean? Who knows what the situation is in terms of like when they're going there?
Oh, it looks like we already got the Somalis coming through.
Yeah, they're coming. The word's out.
Hello, is this your daycare?
No. Can you tell us why there are no children? Have you ever seen children at this child care center?
Literally just see somebody walking by, somebody from the neighborhood walking by. Is this your daycare?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh no, I'm sorry. She was going to the daycare.
Doesn't know if she's ever seen a child here. All right, let's go to the next location.
And the fraud only gets more from here. Make sure you stay till the very end of this video to see exactly how much fraud we find.
The funny thing is, if you do stay to the very end of the video, you see a Minnesota politician. I'm not sure if she's like a city councilwoman or, you know, a state representative or senator or something like that. I don't know how the Minnesota government, do they not have a Senate in Minnesota? Maybe I feel like I remember something about that. Anyway, it is not, I almost said Tyler Hitler Vera. It's not Nick Shirley that's asking her questions that she's unable to answer. It's actually her asking, you know, pointing out things and asking questions to him that he is not able to properly answer.
By the time we are done. And before we go to the next location, I want to show you something.
Gotta be astroturfed. I mean, it is crotchy boosted by both Elon Musk and JD Vance, and yeah, is getting widely uptaken on Twitter right now.
Super interesting about the flags of Minnesota.
And here in Minnesota, if you take a look at
the flag of Minnesota
state flag, they recently changed it, and it very much so resembles the flag.
Is he colorblind? No, because even somebody that was colorblind, right? You might mistake that for, I don't know, if you don't see color at all, maybe you mistake that for the Vietnamese flag. But no. What the fuck? Those are two very different flags, right? Not only are they, you know, I mean, like they both got some sort of blue in them, but yeah, very different star. Wow. look, I could make a better case for the influence of the Confederate battle flag on many southern state flags. Now, some of them have taken that out. Biggest reach ever, I know, right? I mean, that is an actual real scandal. If you want to look at southern state flags, right, and then notice how they are all sort of remixes of the stars and bars. But yeah, this is not a remix. This is not an influence. This is a completely different flag here. Yeah, not even the same shade. That's what I was like asking, is he colorblind? But even then, right, you know, you got a different star in a different place, and it's just like, you know, one of the flags has, you know, just white and a shade of blue. The other has two different, like a dark blue and a light. Anyway, wow.
Flag of Somalia. And really quick, I want to tell you guys about the sponsor of this video, Opus Clip.
Oh, I'm so glad that there is like a tremendous apolitical commentary being.
Now, the interesting thing, now I don't know what to make of this, right? I'm not suggesting a conclusion or drawing a conclusion, but maybe you in chat can draw a conclusion. Opus Clip is a service for wannabe streamers, right? For streamers, content creators, or wannabe streamers and wannabe content creators, right? It's I think an AI thing that if you like play Call of Duty or something, it'll go and find, you know, your kills, right? And you know, put together, try to put together clips that are like the most exciting for you using AI. I think that's what we're talking about here, Opus Clip. And it's a little bit interesting when somebody's advertiser is in the creator market, right? I don't know what that means.
Done here, you know, the apolitical investigators are on it.
How much money has this one generated?
This one in fiscal year 2025, $1,042,059. In fiscal year
Wait, the flag thing was floating around Republican Boomer Facebook years ago?
2024, $1,059,000.
Hutch might have used it. I don't know, maybe.
By the way, that was democratically voted on, and I'm pretty sure the person who designed it is not even a Somali person at all. It's so ridiculous, though. What the does the flag have to do with anything?
And in fiscal year 2023, $727,336.
This next one is literally one block away, and this one's also generated nearly $3 million in the past 3 years. Let's see if there's any children. Let's see if any of the buildings are open. Here we go. All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center. All the windows are blacked out. Let's see if anybody is here. This door.
I'm just noticing that he tried to open somebody's door, right? Like a door that you'd expect to be locked. And he just, you know, he's going to see if it's, maybe somebody left it unlocked. Maybe I can walk right in. I mean, like, depending on where you are, like, walking into somebody's, like, house or you know, a business like this, that is, you know, yet they have, you know, clients that are parents and guardians, and they're taking care of kids at some point, but I don't know. I feel like this is the kind of shit that in certain places would get you shot. Maybe not in a city. It's just wild that he's just like, it says, please use the other entrance. Oh, he's going in the back. He's trying to see if maybe the back door got left unlocked, right? Sometimes people, you know, they're supposed to keep the doors locked, but maybe they got to go out and take out the trash or do something really quick. Maybe they leave the door unlocked. That's what he's checking for. Yeah, is it breaking in it? Does it count as breaking or entering as an educator? It's not really surprising the front door of the child. Yeah, exactly. A child care center is locked. Even some public schools lock the classroom doors. Yeah, especially in the age of school shootings. I mean, not as applicable when we're talking about like daycare, but certainly, you know, the reason that you'd have like dark glass on a facility like this and a locked door is because you know, there is a chance of non-custodial parents trying to, you know, come by and you know, pick up kids they don't have custody of. That's definitely happened at daycares before, and they do watch out to try to make they do a lot of checklists to make sure that they're sending the kid home with the right person, right? But also, you know, just like pedophiles and shit, right? You'd want to lock the door and you know, black out the windows, you know, to keep creeps away. He looks like a creep. Yeah.
Is locked.
This facility is licensed
I mean, they both kind of look like
for 40 children. 0 children. I've come by this place 100 times. I've never seen a child here, ever. The only thing I've ever seen is someone standing outside smoking.
What's crazy about
Okay, I gotta check in on our butterfly goal again, because I always forget to do that. We're at 2 out of 10. We got 24 minutes and 24 seconds left in the butterfly goal. So yeah, it's not looking good for the butterfly today. Or
this is that last daycare center is that green building right there. And the other daycare center right now is right here. These buildings should be operating as they're receiving literally millions of dollars. I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, somebody actually answered the door. Hello? Can we speak?
did he realize that this was going to be like his second? Isn't this the second location he's gone to? And he's already like, I'm so surprised that somebody answered the door. Because one time when I knocked on the door, they didn't.
I would like to check a child in the daycare.
Like normally, the normal way to conduct this investigation is, one, to obviously verify the information that he got from random concerned citizen, right? Let's say you get a random tip from a concerned citizen. You're supposed to verify it with the state. You're supposed to verify it with like investigators, call up the police, call up like local law enforcement, identify in the past, like conducted investigations into fraudulent activity at these sorts of like child care centers, right? You're supposed to go to the licensing board. And then after that, you are supposed to call them up individually or try to figure out if there's actually any sort of fraudulent activity taking place over a long and extended period of time. You can't just like roll up randomly in the middle of the day with a camera and meta glasses to be like, can I see your children? Are there children inside? What the are they supposed to know? They don't know.
So wrong.
A creep or a pervert. You look like a pervert. Whether or not there are actual children in
I'll go one step further and say he probably smells like a pervert. Doesn't he look like he smells?
there or not doesn't even change that reality.
Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare. And after a few questions, the lady went silent. Looks like little Joey.
Yeah, I like that they were saying, like, there were chatters who were defending this, being like, well, he tried to check in his kid.
Are those meta glasses?
Really, dude? Put yourself in the shoes.
I see the Ray-Ban logo there. Sounds sus as fuck.
This is a real business. Let's say it's not illegitimate, right? It could be, it could not be. I'm not saying that this is a legitimate business. But if it was a legitimate business and someone rolls up with meta glasses on deck with another guy that you may or may not have seen around your kindergarten with regular frequency constantly yelling about where the kids are, you're going to be like, no, get the out of here.
Shirley ain't going to daycare here.
And now where are we going?
Now we're going to Sweet Angel Child Care.
We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
In fiscal year 2025.
Yo, Girl on Friday re-upping the secret Halo status. He does not take them off indoors. Yeah, he's too cool. Or like, I don't know. He thinks he's protecting his identity. I don't know why.
5.
What's with the glasses? We had a dad rock up. We had a dad rock up with bats and attack kids. God damn. Wait, just other people's kids? Yeah, I mean, it's wild. I mean, it's a very look, when you're taking care of people's kids, you know, that is something that they care about more than anything in their life. And you know, you care about the welfare of children. So you know, yeah, you gotta, you know, there's procedures in place to make sure that nothing fucked up happens to these kids, right? That they're not getting I don't know, taken by a non-custodial parent, or you know, and what Rave was saying, threatened with bats. God damn. You mean like baseball bats, right? Not like the animal. That would be crazy if he was like rocked up with his minion, with his bat minions, and was like, go and get those kids, my pretty, like he's commanding a legion of bats, maybe? I don't know.
This facility, which has its license for 74 kids, was paid $1.26.
There were multiple investigations and visits to this facility. DHS is aware of a systems issue.
Oh, I bet I know what that was. Yeah, I bet that's somebody that their kid told them somebody was like picking on them, or somebody was doing whatever, and the dad then tries to step in and imagine it's certain podcasts host rocking up to pick up kids, screaming about skulls being sent to his house. Oh no, oh no. The actual Batman, yeah.
That is preventing some
yeah, the Batsman in this case.
newly completed documents.
So Ozzy Osbourne super fan.
Posting is required. This is the license holder for the ABC Learning Center. There have been numerous licensing reviews, right? 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. That was the one that they went to last. Total capacity is 40. No restrictions whatsoever. And let's see.
Yeah, butterfly to you too, Sarah. We're at 5 out of 10. Are we at 5 out of 10?
Let's see what the last potential violations were on the outcome of the visit. Licensing review 11/7/2025. Children's records. The individual child care program for a child with a known allergy did not contain all required items. The program did not have enough information about a child's known allergy. Facility electrical outlets were not tamper-proof or shielded. Menus did not comply with their nutritional requirements. Cribs were not checked annually against the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission's websites with listings of unsafe cribs. Written parental permission had not been obtained for administering medicine or topical products. Children did not have daily access to all interest areas. Staff did not supervise the children at all times.
I think we're at 159 out of 200 if somebody wants to check my math on that one.
All staff did not complete the ongoing training requirements, and the program did not comply with individual child care program plan requirements. This literally means that while there are issues, kindergarten, seemingly through this investigation, we have found out that there are actually still children that are being cared for. Because obviously, if there wasn't any children being cared for, I suspect that they would probably bring that up in the violations. No, you know, it's a bad daycare.
Bats are really cute, especially the ones that eat fruit.
But it's still a daycare, it seems. I worked for an ABC Learning Center in Washington. It's real. They're a chain of learning centers across the nation. Yeah, because remember, this is not a YouTuber, right? There's a difference between a proper investigation being conducted that is comprehensive and actually finds issues, okay, with a national chain of daycares like ABC Learning.
Although I guess they're pretty much pretty common vector, I guess, for zoonotic, zoonotic ideologies.
Center that obviously due to the profit motive, I suspect, and due to underfunding, I suspect is going to still have a litany of complications, but ones that can be addressed and is not as like world ending as there are no children there, right? But do you see the difference between a professional investigation that was conducted during the licensing review versus random YouTuber walking out there and being like, I didn't see any kids here, so it must be fake. It must not be a real.
There are no children in wait, what is it? Bao Sing Se? Ba Sing Se.
Plays. Do you understand?
I would like to check a child in the daycare.
Like that's not an investigation.
We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
Like this is also, it's a goalpost shifting. If your primary argument is that there is no children at these kindergartens, okay, at the child care facility, but then we find out through, further investigation, at least conducted by the Department of Human Services in the state of Minnesota, that there are actually children there, but the specific facility has met some criticism and in the investigations are for licensing criteria, and you turn around and say, why are you defending the fucking lack of adequate childcare in the facility? No, I'm not defending that, but you're changing the goalpost. If my argument here is about like a proper investigation being conducted on a very serious crime, a very serious criminal accusation, okay, and that the main point of contention that they're driving home is just immediately disproven, you can't just shift the goalpost to a separate problem. Because this isn't just like a fake investigation that was being conducted. This is a shitty investigation that was being conducted that got retweeted by the vice president.
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which has its license for 74 kids, was paid $1.8 million in tax money. And there are no kids, and all the facilities are the same way, all of them.
Let's see if anyone opens.
Yeah, let's see.
Once again, I try to find a spot for my son Joey, and they would not open the door. I want to put my son Joey in daycare. Cause I need.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. Like, you could have literally done a better job with this. Even like Nick Omalana, right? Nico Omalana does a much better job with this kind of stuff. He's not a fully fleshed out investigative reporter, but like he does like this all the time, right? But it requires a lot of setup. You can't just like roll up with a phone camera and just or roll up with a crew. Sorry, Nico Omalana, and be like, oh, I have a kid. Open the door right now. I have my child with me. I have a child. Like, no, like if you want to do a proper investigation or even a better YouTube video on this, actually set up a fake child. Okay,
Like,
actually,
we need this guy to, I hate to say it, chat, but he needs to be tutored by James O'Keefe. Like I said in the beginning, even James O'Keefe's bullshit hit piece investigations, which, you know, if you ever investigated that, if you ever scratched the surface of any one of those investigations from Acorn on, you know, they didn't ever really pan out into anything real.
set up an interview, put a secret camera on your chest, go inside and have a proper conversation, figure out whether or not there are actually.
Burple says they need an undercover baby. They do. They need Boss Baby. They could get Boss Baby to go, right? Boss Baby could go in there with the GoPro, a diaper GoPro. I don't know. Some kind of GoPro. I don't know where Boss Baby would put the GoPro, but yeah, Boss Baby could do an investigation.
Whether or not this is a legitimate business. Do you guys understand my point here? I hope people understand what I'm trying to say here. Rolling up like this is obviously not going to lead to any sort of real information. You're being naive because they have people in the government working for them in Minneapolis. Okay. Once again, that is a far bigger conspiracy now. And in order to tackle this conspiracy, there is a proper way to investigate it. Then you go to the authorities. We just looked at the licensing board. He went to that place. He claims that there's no children. He couldn't go inside. He yelled outside of ABC Learning Center. What you're supposed to do is call up ABC Learning.
Yeah, Boss Baby could have the meta glasses. Yeah.
Center. ABC Learning Center obviously has many different locations all around the country. Okay, it's a chain. You call up.
Wouldn't that be crazy if they shot an episode of Undercover Boss, but the boss was a baby? Like it was like a daycare center, and it was like, you know, at the end of the episode, the baby's like, actually, I'm not just a baby. Takes off the meta glasses. I'm your boss. I don't know. I've never watched Undercover Boss, so I don't know. Do they usually get in trouble for like what happens on Undercover Boss? Do they get in trouble if they don't do a good job, or do they mostly get like rewarded for, you know, doing a good job?
The chain. You say, hey, I went to this location. I wanted to actually see if there's any slots available. I have a child. I want to have them go to ABC Learning Center. It's close in proximity to.
Wait, did he just say NAR children? Wait, he probably did.
I'll explain it to you. We just conspiracy. Being naive because they have people in the government working for them in Minneapolis. Okay. Once again, that is a far bigger conspiracy now. And in order to tackle this conspiracy, there is a proper way to investigate it. Then you go to the authorities. Here, I'll explain it to you. We just looked at the licensing board. He went to that place. He claims that there's no children. He couldn't go.
NAR children.
Go inside. He yelled outside of ABC Learning Center. What you're supposed to do is call up ABC Learning Center. ABC Learning Center obviously has many different locations all around the country. Okay, it's a chain. You call up the chain. You say, hey, I went to this location. I wanted to actually see if there's any slots available. I have a child. I want to have them go to ABC Learning Center. It's close in proximity to my work. You know, yada yada yada. Okay. First, you properly investigate whether or not ABC Learning Center is actually has children in it or not, or if they're even available for taking on new children. at the ABC Learning Center. Then, if you actually have suspicion that there are no children there, even though it says that the state licensing board has shown that the total capacity is 40 children, but there's no children there, then what you're supposed to do is go to the Department of Human Services, okay? Then you're supposed to try.
Fell asleep last night worrying about all the kids Trump threw overboard yachts off Lake Michigan. Wait, that's a thing. That's the thing. Wait, what was it? It was a claim. The claim wasn't about Trump, but I think they said Trump was there. That was in the files, right? When the Hooters boss found out his org is sexist. What a surprise that one was. Oh God, dipping lemons in sugar and salt to eat them. People do that here with like chili. They mix chili flakes with salt and sugar, and then they'll like they'll cut a lime. They'll cut the skin off a lime and then roll it around and eat it like a lollipop. Although there's also I'm trying to remember what it's called. Right, miracle fruit, is that what it's called? It's a fruit that grows somewhere. I think maybe in Africa. You can't really get the fruit, if you're not around where it grows. But they do sell these little tablets that I guess are like, I don't know, the fruit essence like cooked down. And if you chew one of these tablets, you can take a lemon and eat it, and it will taste like lemonade. Right? It changes the way your tongue perceives flavors, where sour becomes sweet. Sour gets like somehow this fruit translates your tongue's taste. It when it takes sour, it thinks it's tasting sweet, and yeah, they're delicious. But yeah, you obviously got to be careful about your teeth.
Try to figure out exactly who conducted the investigation.
I think it was from the Anon tip hotline. It did sound a bit wild. But it wasn't I think Trump was just there. I think that I can't remember who it was, but it was some other guy that they were accusing of throwing babies.
Who conducted the licensing investigation in 11/7/2025? Okay, you go and you figure out who actually conducted the licensing investigation or the interview in 11/7/2025, and then you try to interview them. You say, hey, I went to the ABC Learning Center. I called up the ABC Learning Center. They said that there wasn't actually any children there, but you clearly saw some children. Can you explain to me?
5 minutes and 40 seconds on the butterfly goal.
What happened? If you want to have a private...
I don't know if we can do 5 super chats in 5 minutes, but I guess we're about to find out. I have to eat a lot of lemons after that monster stone.
Camera. When you're conducting that investigation, even that's fine if you want to do that. But the problem is, that's conducting a real fucking investigation, and this is not that. Do you understand? Even Project Veritas has a higher standard for the malicious reporting that they engage in, and that's a propaganda operation tasked with doing hatchet jobs. We've actually devolved. Even our right-wing slop merchants have gotten worse at doing this kind of hack.
A spot to put my son Joey.
Yes.
Is this your daycare center?
No, I work there. What's happened?
I just want to put.
I'm just imagining, like, this guy shows up outside your daycare center. What do you do? Right? Look at this guy. Look at the vibe. Like, just feel this guy's vibes.
Kind of hack.
A spot to put my son Joey.
Yes.
Is this your daycare center?
No, I work there. What's happened?
I just want to put.
Is this your daycare center? We just want to look at the kids. Can you show us the kids? Can we see the kids?
Child in daycare, but all the daycare centers seem to be closed.
Little Johnny's gonna not have a daycare, and I'm gonna have to leave him to his own devices after my hard job working as a YouTube content creator.
Closed. No one's opening the door.
He's like directly looking at the camera. He's like, what the f are you guys?
I feel like he's low-key trying to imply that they don't want little Johnny or little Joey because he's white or something. I don't know.
Doing here?
You work here?
I was, yeah. What's happened?
Where are the kids?
Yeah?
It says it's licensed for 74 children.
Where are the kids? We want to see kids. Why are there no kids here? The advertisement says there would be children here. And yet I don't see any children.
Right here, state of Minnesota. Where are the kids?
Where are the kids? When can we see the
They
kids?
got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year
We've got our cameras ready to take pictures of.
2025. It says they're cap.
And like nobody's buying his little Joey thing. Like him even saying that makes it more sus. I know he's probably trying to just, ham it up for the cameras, right? For, for his audience, right? That give them a little laugh with the little Joey thing. But this just makes him seem like more of a pedophile.
Have a capacity for 70.
All right, we're looking at this one as well. Licensing lookup. This is the other place that they went to. So the first one that we went to, ABC Learning Center, it didn't actually have like the claims that they made where there were no children there. That obviously doesn't. That is obviously not correct, right? At least according to the Department of Human Services. Now, if this conspiracy goes all the way up, now
that would be so sick, Rafe. Oh my God, Chris Hansen's he's doing content of some kind, isn't he? I feel like he's been doing like Epstein content or something. I saw him someplace. Maybe does he have like a YouTube channel? But how sick would it be if like they found out the next project that this guy was doing? If he does another thing where he's looking at daycares, right? And have Chris Hansen step out and be like, I'm gonna have to ask you to take a seat over here. Anyway.
Now we're looking at Sweet Angel Childcare Inc. Okay, this is the other place that they went to right before their visit, and I assume they didn't just like visit, on the 25th or whatever when this video was published. I suspect that they visited, let's say, a week prior to that on the 15th or something, right? Well, there was a Department of Human Services visit that took place with Sweet Angel Childcare Inc. And the facility had hazardous objects that were accessible to children. This literally.
Oh, is that a Minnesota accent? I don't know.
Means like scissors.
My remembrance, right? Because I had a science teacher who was from Minnesota. And my remembrance of her accent was it was really, really nasal. And I mean, I guess that's a general Midwest accent. Although honestly, that's the one that people don't pick up the Midwest accent, right? Because it's like the median accent in the US somehow. But if you listen to it, it's a little bit, it seems a little bit nasal. And especially Minnesota, Wisconsin, North, like what is it? Fargo, right? The movie Fargo, like her accent, right? That's a fairly nasal accent.
For the record, before you freak the fuck out. Children did not have access to personal hygiene products, and the correction documentation has not yet been submitted because the licensing review took place literally, 24 days ago. Okay, just so you understand. Children do not have daily access to all interest areas. The program did not comply with first aid training requirements, and the program did not comply with CPR training requirements. Okay, a lot of these.
What about with CPS training requirements?
Facilities are substandard, but you need to understand the main claim being made here is not that the facilities are substandard. The main claim being here is that these facilities are actually lying, that there's no children there whatsoever. Now, if there is truth to the fact that there are actually no kids there.
Oh, wait, you wonder if they ever found out who the guy was? David? Is that what you're talking about, David? They did actually. I don't know how, but they put a last name to David, and I can't remember. I don't think he had any special, credentials or anything. I think he was just some dude, like he says, some dude that works in the area.
It seems like the Department of Human Services, children did not have access to daily interest.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I think Hassan, was that in the, Hassan did a follow-up video on this too. I think that's the one where he goes over what Asmongold had to say. So we will maybe watch that one. It's the one I'm thinking.
Areas, children's hands were not washed with soap and water. Oh yeah, health practices. Children's hands were not washed with soap and water. This seems to me like there are kids there. The facilities are substandard, but it seems like there are kids there. Okay. The main claim that they are making is that there are no kids there. This is not a defense of the substandard conditions in this daycare, for the record. This is simply countering.
Oh, I know where you're talking about, Jordan Peterson. Yeah, he does kind of sound. He does sound like a little bit Canadian there, doesn't he? You're right, Burpel.
Not even going there.
I was like, why are you talking about Jordan Peterson all of a sudden? Then I remembered this the last time I did this voice.
The arguments that were being presented by Nick Shirley. This is now not one, but two different facilities that they've gone to where they claim that there are no children there and they can't go inside. And then they just simply say there's no children there. So here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. There are no children at these facilities at all. And this is a much, much larger investigation. There needs to be an investigation conducted at the federal level in the hands of the FBI to take a look at the Department of Human Services in the state of Minnesota, okay? I am not saying that this is not the case. I'm not even saying that Nick Shirley is completely wrong with the claims that he is making. I'm simply saying that a proper investigation in this circumstance is not happening in the hands of Nick Shirley. Do you get what I'm saying here? Because there is, at least in the hands of the state, evidence that this kindergarten, this childcare facility does actually have children. Do you not understand how?
Oh my God. As I was going into that Jordan Peterson thing, I just like something slipped into my brain. I was like, remember me, Eddie? When I killed your brother, I talked just like this.
Story this is, because it's not just Medicare fraud or healthcare
Peterson. Jordan Peterson's a tune.
Fraud or childcare fraud that's taking place. It's not about welfare fraud that's just simply taking place in the hands of like a couple individuals that are lying in that situation. This is a much more consequential, much larger.
Yeah, Caceres is based. Yeah,
that needs to happen at this point, because it literally means that there are state authorities that are in on it. Okay, it means that there are state authorities that are in on it and that they're lying when they go to conduct licensing reviews. This is a major problem. This is a massive conspiracy at this point, which once again, a massive conspiracy at this point implies that there needs to be a way better method of investigating.
Are there any kids when you worked here?
Is there kids there? What's
How
up?
many?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
You work.
I'm just saying there's a low-key a chance that Jordan Peterson is a cartoon wearing a human suit.
Okay, well then you're not of any help.
Can I put my
You're not of any help. Get the fuck out of here.
son in a daycare here?
No, I don't know.
Can I speak to someone?
No, I don't know.
No. Yeah, I would like to see if
Like, you have to understand, you're not a trustworthy person, okay? You're not a trustworthy.
Yo, look at him. Look at him right there. Look at him right there. Sus as fuck. Look, if that guy was standing outside of a 7-Eleven, and I was, I don't know, and I was like, I don't know, like 8 years younger, I'd probably ask him I'd probably try to buy some drugs off of him, right? This is like, but this guy's standing outside of a fucking daycare center. What is he gonna do? He knows his nutrition. I would not buy his weed. Yeah, it's probably for the better. Probably for the better that you don't buy anything off of this guy. I would not trust that Cooper. Probably should not. But yeah, standing outside of like what is he? Is he like the drug dealer for the daycare? What is he doing?
Trustworthy person at this point.
It'd be bunk as fuck or resold store-bought shit. It'd be like moldy store-bought shit. It would have been in the back of his in the like back window of his car for like 3 months.
They're not gonna fucking give you any information. They think you're like a freak. You're presenting yourself like a weirdo with your meta glasses and your hoodie standing outside of a kindergarten,
and you're getting mocked by a 70-year-old.
Of course people are gonna be like, I don't know, dude, please get away. Please leave. Like, you have no credentials. You just fucking rolled up with a road mic on your chest, and you're like, well, I can't believe they wouldn't let my freak ass into a child care facility where I'm claiming that there's no children, but we don't even know if there's no children in there or not. You have a camera on you. Why the would anybody let you in there? Even if the facility was closed, whether it's because of the holiday season or the facility was closed because they got dinged by the licensors for an extended period of time, as they like, I don't know, make sure that the outlets are up to code or whatever, as they found, right? Or
he's like the guy that was not cool enough to hang out with Jay and Silent Bob, right? He tried to hang out with them in front of the 7-Eleven, but they were like, nah.
For hazardous objects accessible to children not have access to personal hygiene products, whatever the fuck, right? Even if they
were like, this guy's sus.
Took the week off to make sure that they were kept up to compliance with first aid training requirements, for example, and there's no children there at that moment, why the fuck would they let you into the facility? Of course they're not going to let you into the facility. You're nobody. You're a random guy with a camera. Hey, what's up? I came with my best friend, local old man who constantly is asking, where are the kids? I want to see the kids. I would like to see some children, please. And they're not letting me into the facility. I wonder why, because you're not doing a fucking proper investigation.
It's like the worst drug dealer ever. He's some guy that like sees a movie about drug dealers and wants to be one and like doesn't realize that like weed is legal now. And he's like, what do you do to be a drug dealer? Okay, you gotta wear a hoodie. You gotta get some Ray-Bans, and then you stand outside of a school or a playground and be like, hey kids, do you want to try some? I don't know. Want to try some Kush? Like, I don't know. And then this guy is like, okay, well, we can't find, doesn't seem like school's in session right now because it's winter break. Let's roll up to this daycare. Maybe we can sell some mid Kush to these toddlers.
Son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
No! You're a liar. I'm the owner.
Do you put your kid here in this daycare?
I would love it if somebody had just started yelling pedophile at this guy, right? That's if you wanna know. Look, if fucking Tyler Hitler Vera or this guy Nick Shirley ever roll up in front of your daycare, right, or school or wherever, right, and you want to get rid of him, just start yelling pedophile. Not only will that will that drive him away, right? Not only will you get rid of his annoying ass, but also it'll prevent him from using that footage of you, right? Whatever footage he took, whatever video he recorded, if it's got you calling him a pedophile on it, he's not going to use it.
There is
Yeah, he's got the free candy sign. Yeah, he's supposed to have the free candy.
one child in there. Yeah, I'd like to know if this is a legit business.
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
Hear what she said? You want to let's roll that back one more time. What did she say?
There is one child in there. Yeah, I'd like to know if this is a legit business.
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
So YouTube thinks she says because of your courage. His editor thinks she said because of your color. What did she really say? Anybody know? Anybody catch what she's actually saying? Yep, because you're recording. Watch how he plays this off.
Because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. Does that make you a racist?
Aren't you? Isn't that just you being isn't that just anti-white racism?
Yeah, no.
Don't you understand that white men are the most oppressed class in the whole nation? Haven't you watched Ben Shapiro? Don't you know that it's an inverted hierarchy that these liberals are running? What's on his sweatshirt? I mean, again, it's going to show up a lot since he's wearing a gray sweatshirt.
Now the argument
But look, if you use Fetterman, it'd probably be a white sweatshirt.
moved entirely in a separate direction. We're now doing reverse racism, anti-white racism. I wonder why a Somali person in Minneapolis right now would be afraid of exactly what people like this are doing. I wonder where that fear is coming from. Probably totally a ridiculous fear. Of course, a lot of people that are watching from afar that also have the same suspicions about the entire Somali community, once again, Somali Americans, is going to go, see, this person is suspicious of him because he's onto it.
You said you're scared of me because of my color. Does that make you a racist?
Yeah, no.
But you said you're scared of me because of my color.
I'm not saying you're racist.
You said you're scared of me because of my color. That makes you a racist. So right now, they're all...
Wait, did she say because of your recording or because of your color?
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
Oh, she said because you're recording.
Because of your courage. That's the one he should have gone with.
And pointed to the collar, as in like...
could it look like ice? I think that's coming up.
The recording equipment that... And then the lol, hearing what he wants to hear. Yeah, I mean, of course. This is at the intersection of so many issues because, as I've said over and over again, like if everyone is this dumb and this primed, this tuned in, if the audience is like receptive to this kind of commentary, there's not really much you can do. They'll come in here and they'll say, oh, you're a idiot. She obviously was saying she's racist against white people. You know what I mean?
Because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. That makes you a racist. So right now, they're all getting mad because he's showing the paperwork of this business being registered as a business. 74 children, no children. We saw one child when the lady opened up the door. So now they're all getting mad.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Yeah, lots of cuts where she's like replying. We don't even know what she said. This is why it's easier to use immigrants as scapegoats because they can never defend themselves correctly. Yeah, there's also like the obvious language barrier here at play as well. And also he has complete.
Chat, can you imagine if somebody, like, I don't know, like I'm talking to somebody, I barely know Thai, trying to communicate in Thai, and like you know, like it's entirely possible for me to like pronounce something wrong. Can you imagine what somebody could do like with like you know, I don't know, chat, like this is like some of you know what it's like to be in a country where you don't speak the language and to try to communicate. And you know, if there's misunderstandings, they're really fucking hard to clear up, right? Here's my example and this was from Thai class. It's a very low stakes environment because I'm like literally learning Thai here, right? But I was trying to say, you know, the question, what, like we were supposed to say, like my ex is my noun is adjective but not other adjective or something like that, right? And I think I said something like my house is beautiful, or my home, really. I was saying ban is the word, so it means home, right? I was saying my home is beautiful but not expensive. And because the word, there's another word in Thai, fan, F-A-A-N, right? That means your girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Is your fan. And she heard fawn. It sounded like I said fawn. And she's like, really? Your partner is beautiful but not expensive? Like, what am I dealing? And like, right, you know, she's, you know, like it's a very common thing for tourists in, you know, this country to be like sex tourists, right? So she's like, okay. I don't know what she's on about, right? But like and it was only as she started to write it down, right? So she, you know, she asked me the question, I respond, and then she writes down my answer, and I see fawn, and I caught it, and I was like, oh no, my house, my bon, like Bon-chan, not Fawn-chan, right? My house, not my partner, right? And yeah, it was funny, but like I almost did it. If she hadn't written that down, I wouldn't have caught that she misunderstood me, and she would have gone away thinking who knows what, right? Like, I don't know that I'm a, you know, like, and she wasn't like judgmental or anything, but you know, it's a strange answer to give, to be sure, right? But I mean, like, imagine that's not in a language classroom, right? Imagine that is like out on the street, or imagine I'm talking to imagine chat, I'm talking to the police. I mean, it's, you know, because yeah, you could imagine the kind of misunderstanding that could be very difficult to clear up in that case.
Complete control over the edit. This is what, like, this is a big part of the problem with, like, also the way that Project Veritas operates as well. This is an even shittier version of Project Veritas, low-key, but it still has, like, the same Project Veritas elements. Like, even with her being like, oh, you're recording. Like, that's basically the way she said it. But, like, he said, oh, you mean my color? And then she doesn't even understand exactly what he's responding with. She's like, or even if she did respond in a way to say, no, you're recording, for example, it's cut out. So we don't even know what the she actually said.
Minnesota right here.
I think we're moving on to the next location. Have a good day.
As we continue to show the blatant fraud that was taking place here in Minnesota, Somalis started following us around the city.
And now we're being followed by the Somali.
Just listen to how he's talking. Just listen to how this guy is talking, right?
This is another daycare center. Absolutely no signage, and there's no footprints in the snow.
Yeah, bro.
Like his way of speaking, it reminds me of like Fetterman or maybe more like Tom Homan, right?
Doesn't even look open. Like, I think that one might not be
Molly,
open
this
at
is
all,
another daycare-
actually. They literally have fencing around it. Oh, wait, it does have fencing. It does have a door into it. Never mind.
Signage,
Also, there is
and there's
footprints.
no
What the
footprints. No, of children.
Wait, what? Wait a minute.
Another daycare center.
I only saw this part. I didn't realize that there was
Oh no, an incel Danny Gonzalez. I mean, low key. Oh my god, hiccup.
door there, and I thought it was like a closed business. No, there
Absolutely
is
no
literally
sign.
there's a gate. There's clearly footprints going in and out. Okay, do we have the state investigation into this one? Okay, we're looking at the licensing lookup of this one now. This is the third one that we're looking into. Child Care Center address, Minnesota Best Child Care Center, 3/17/2025, licensing review. The program space was not clean.
Last time I talked to the police, I thought Stuart was cool, but Sting was kind of the band, the police. Yeah, Stuart Copeland, the drummer, and Sting, the bass player, and also the singer. Vamps, thank you for resubscribing. That is 11 months. 11-month streak and a 60 months that you've been subscribed. Oh no, you okay? I read everything wrong. Disregard that. But someone must have cleared the pathway to the door. It does look like it. It does look like it. I'm gonna use Irene's advice now. You look like a PDF file. That's why I will not let you. That's what I'm saying, chat. Is that the more you get calling this guy a PDF on the video, right? The more that he can't use the audio without it being like, you know, obvious what you're saying about him, like the less likely he's going to use that video audio.
Equipment and furniture were not in good repair. Documentation was not available to show that a teacher did not meet the qualifications. And then the correction documentation was submitted and also approved. It seems that this child care facility is actually intact. They were also fined in 2024. Equipment and furniture were not in good repair, corrected on site. The program did not submit a background study requested Department of Homeland Security when required. Then they submitted the correction documentation and it was approved. Area used by children were not in good repair. Correction documentation was submitted and approved. I'm wondering if all these places look so shitty because they needed to make so many so fast. Oh, sorry, DHS is not Department of Homeland Security, Department of Human Services. The front door of a daycare is always locked. To come in, you have to have a child there, and to be on the list to pick up a child and to be able to identify yourself to do so. These are heavily regulated for obvious reasons. It's not the place to do a completely made up fraud scheme. Nobody just shows up to visit. Yeah, well, people do show up to visit, pedophiles. And now apparently right-wing content creators that want to do the new Pizzagate, this time on random kindergartens in Minneapolis.
The infamous Quality Learning Center, which actually...
And look, yeah, it says Leering Center, all right? It says Leering Center. Now, look, you might be tempted to say, well, this is a clear sign that nobody cares about this business because the signage wasn't checked. I want to point out two things, all right? First of all, learning a new language is difficult. You're less likely, you know, to notice something like the misprint on the sign if you're, you know, not if English is not your first language, right? Just like I might, like if I see something in Thai and I sound it out, all right? I don't go through like these are the high class vowels, these are the mid class vowels, and these are the low class vowels, and this one appearing after this means that it's pronounced like this, and this one's got like a like an up intonation, this one's got a low intonation, and this one's got a flat intonation, right? I just like sound out. I know what the letters sound like, and I try to sound out Nakrian student, right? But you know, if it says something like nak just means person, right? Rien means to study. And if it said, you know, some different, like the same consonants, but different vowels, I probably wouldn't notice. And it could say pedophile, or it could say, you know, creepy old, you know, I don't know. You could say anything. It could say something really like horrible, right? It could say, like, I don't know. It could be like, it could say like, I don't know, the word for somebody that's involved in organized crime, and because of its resemblance to na Korean student, I'm like, oh yeah, student, is this where the students are supposed to go? And I walk in and it's like, you know, I'm in the middle of a bunch of gangsters. Like, why does everybody have tattoos? Why does everyone have tattoos on here? Why is everybody dressed so much better than me? Oh my gosh, what kind of language school is this, right? I don't know. But yeah, so you know, be a little bit understanding, be a little bit compassionate, even though this is obvious you know, error to like somebody like, you know, that learned English as a first language. It might not be so obvious, you know, especially if this is not even your alphabet, right? But also I want to point out, right, what could cause a sign to be produced with a wrong spelling? I think AI could cause that to happen, right? And I think that the more we accept AI, all right, the more we're going to be expected to accept slop like this. You're just going to be like, oh yeah, well, I know it says learning, right? You're just going to start accept, because you're going to see it everywhere, and nobody wants to take the time to either, you know, do stuff themselves, or to like quality control check their AI processes. And you know, you're going to see a lot more leering centers. But chat, as he says this, listen to how he says this, right? This is a guy chiding people, I guess, for their you know, English orthography, which means spelling.
Content creators that want to do the new Pizzagate, this time on random kindergartens in Minneapolis.
The infamous Quality Learning Center, which actually spells Quality Leering Center on the outside of their sign. That's how blatant this fraud is here.
I'm sorry for if you're gonna, where was it that he
was to pick up a child?
I'm just saying, like, for somebody that spoke English as a first language, I don't think his English is that great.
And to be able to identify yourself to do so, these are heavily
and to see him dunking on somebody else for their, you know, misspelling.
Regulated for obvious reasons. It's not the place to do a completely made up fraud scheme. Nobody just shows up to visit. Yeah, well, people do show up to visit, pedophiles. And now apparently right-wing content creators that want to do the new Pizzagate, this time on random kindergartens in Minneapolis.
The infamous Quality Learning Center, which actually spells Quality Leering Center on the outside of their sign.
And again, chat, no judgment. I'm not trying to be an intellectual elitist or you know, insist that people pronounce things perfectly or anything like that. I'm just saying your job is YouTuber, right? And you're not just a YouTuber. You are supposed to be a YouTuber fashioning himself as some kind of investigative journalist, right? You know, I mean, this is just a sign that, like, if you are playing to the JD Vance, Elon Musk crowd, right? It doesn't matter if you literally can't do your job. If you're not, what does a YouTuber do? They speak. That's a big part of your job as a YouTuber. You gotta, you know, unless you say an AI voice, which again I wouldn't recommend. You gotta speak, right? That's your job, and you're not even good at that, and yet you've got 150 million views, chat. That's insane. And I'm not talking about on YouTube. That would be even more insane. It's on Twitter that he's got 150 million views. I think of the YouTube video, it's something like, you know, it's in the millions, right? He's got a shit ton of views. He's got a shit ton of exposure. He's got the vice president and the richest man in the world boosting his content. And his content sucks ass. He is objectively a bad YouTuber.
Don't open up!
This is driving me nuts.
Quality Leering Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open up!
This guy is doing my head in. Oh yeah, here's the part where they mistake his balaclavaed up security guards for being ICE agents.
They said They spelt learning wrong.
Don't open up!
How do you have ice here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up!
Oh, this lady thinks it's ice. Oh, they have a lot of investigations. Yeah, there was a licensing investigation and a licensing review that took place. The floor plan did not contain all required items. Staff did not supervise the children at all times. The program was not operating within the terms of the license. And then there's another licensing review that takes place. And they've gotten dinged multiple times. This would have triggered a hard lockdown at the preschool I worked at. He's going to traumatize children doing this. I mean, luckily he doesn't actually enter any of the facilities. So I don't think any of the children were actually traumatized in this situation. Areas used by children were not in good repair. Crib mattresses and other sheets did not meet safety requirements, and or items were in a crib or infant under 12 months. Written parental permission had not been obtained for administering medicine or topical products. The program did not follow healthcare providers' written instructions when administering prescription medication. Again, all of this stuff, there were proper documentation after the fact. Correction documentation was submitted and approved. I think you should make a little note on that it is far and way more common for these places to get violations than to not get violations because the codes are very strict. Yes, I know. I'm sure that there are some people in the chat that work in facilities such as this one. So you already know that this is one of the most aggressively while it's still oftentimes underfunded. Your whole take on this should be shared widely because the comment section on this video is so apparently gross and racist. My take on this will not be shared widely. People will clip whatever they clip out of this conversation where I'm like responding to someone and will immediately say Hassan actually wants criminal fraud and misconduct to take place when it's actually Somalis doing it because he hates white people and he thinks like black people can do no wrong or some shit. It'll be because the starting point of this argument is like heavily racialized, very white nativist, that the additional arguments that will come along with it will not actually recognize what I'm criticizing here. They will try to make it seem like I'm defending it. Even there are chatters in here who think I'm defending it. There are long-term community members in here who think I'm defending the criminal misconduct that's taking place. I'm not. I am, however, looking at the likelihood that the claims that Nick Shirley is making are accurate by matching it up against an investigation that was conducted in virtually all of these places. Considering that childcare is heavily regulated by the state in each individual state. Obviously, there's differences in the regulation is on a state by state basis. If you are trying to create a narrative that there is like mass fraud taking place, this is perhaps one of the worst industries to claim it because of how much the state obviously has to do upkeep and to maintain proper licensing because they're taking care of children. It's like schools and kindergartens and places like that. Childcare facilities are some of the worst places to do fraud in. If you're going to do, like, it's like if you're going to money launder, you purchase a laundromat, right? If you're going to money launder, I think an area where it's not a cash only business is one of the worst places to do money laundering in, right? Like you buy a car wash or a fucking laundromat and you do a cash only business, right? You don't do money laundering in a heavily safeguarded and heavily regulated business that has no cash coming in. For example, having said that, once again, extravagant claims require extraordinary claims, extravagant claims require an unimaginable amount of evidence. Okay, you can't just like run around and be like, oh, these guys are doing mass fraud at these places, and then the investigation that you try to do in this situation is just like knocking on the doors of random kindergartens or childcare facilities and be like, where is it? Where are the children? Where are the children? You know, that's fucking ridiculous.
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up! We have ice!
And what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children
Don't open up!
and getting $4 million over
Don't
the
open up! It's ice!
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away!
What do you think about that? Are you in favor?
away!
Are you in?
You're missing a major part of this. You should mention that there's a massive chance that they're only showing the ones that look suspicious and excluding the ones that have nothing to do, point at. If this is the best they could come up with, that's embarrassing for their narrative. Yeah, ironically enough, it's heavily relying on vibes overall. The vibes of the audience to believe that there is like this extraordinary amount of fraud taking place, and there is no proof whatsoever of the claims being made at all. And there's actually counter narratives, or at least evidence that is a significantly higher. Why are the windows blacked out if it's a legitimate kindergarten? Wait, what? That's the reason why you think it's a fake kindergarten? Because the windows are blacked out and the doors are locked? Maybe because they don't want pedophile peeping toms looking in. What do you mean? That was the reason why you were sussed out? Yeah, that's not weird at all. It doesn't cost $4 million to take care of 5 kids. Okay, now we're doing like cost analysis. Okay, again, if you think that they are improperly spending the money, that's entirely different. But that's not the claim being made. The claim being made here is that there's no children in these facilities at all. The claim being made is that there's no children in these facilities. There's obviously evidence that there is children according to the state, the Department of Human Services, and the licensing investigations that they have conducted. There's obviously children there. So now you're moving the goalposts. The thing that I'm frustrated by is that there is probably at least one of the places that they went to that is actually suspicious or doesn't fucking meet that same standard. Okay. So far, all we can do is either look at the evidence and look at the actual state authorities that have done licensing videos, licensing investigations over and over again. And if there is evidence to suggest that the state is lying, then they're involved in this much grander conspiracy. Those people need to be punished too. The people at the Department of Human Services also need to go to jail if that's the case.
Have you ever seen children at that daycare center right there?
Where?
Yeah, it's right there. It says the child. You've never seen daycare.
I haven't seen anybody in there.
We're going to educate you on something. So what do you think about this daycare center? They spelled learning wrong. They've received over $1.9 million this year alone, and they're supposed to have 99 children here.
I don't see it.
99 children.
Have you ever seen any children here?
None at all. None.
This year they got 1.9 million. Last year they got 1.5 million of your tax money for 99 children. We just want to know where are the kids?
Right.
Where are the children?
I don't see them. I've been here since 2017. I haven't seen anybody like
Never
that
seen
here.
a child here.
No, not at all.
And so you've never seen a child here for 8 years?
Nope, not at all.
And how does that make you feel knowing that this place is receiving $1.9 million?
It's disgusting.
Like, even if there were children in the past 8 years, why the f would this guy know whether or not there are kids there? That's so stupid. I think the fact that there are no children there now, I believe, it seems to me like they closed it down and they got a conditional license because they had too many violations over and over again. This is from 2022. One of the most recent licensing reviews for this facility has simple code violations involving children who were observed there during the review. You guys are painfully gullible. Or do you think the state agency is in on the conspiracy and fake watching someone administer medicine to a child, or that children weren't properly age grouped at all times, i.e. a toddler still in diapers was hanging out in the room with older kids? How far does the conspiracy go? So that's what it is. If you want to actually complain about the substandard care for children, that's one thing, which is interesting because Republicans now are in favor of regulation, I guess, which I'm on board with. So I'm glad that you're finally coming to that conclusion that the regulatory bodies need to do proper investigations, and that's a good thing. Regulations are good. Okay. But that's a whole separate argument. And the problem here is that there are some of these facilities that were actually caught doing fraud. Some of these facilities were actually fraudulent, and not just like code violations, but some of the facilities were actually involved in the fraud scheme that took place in the previous investigation. But tying it up to every single facility is ridiculous, especially without the proper evidence.
$1.9 million just this year alone. And this guy's been living here for 8 years and has never seen a single child walk through those doors. There's no windows either.
No.
And the only window they do have, the door, is blacked out.
Yep, I see that. I've never seen anybody go in there.
Within just a few hours, we nearly approached $20 million in fraud, and we headed over to George Floyd's.
Yeah, that facility license was revoked, I think, in 2024, but I don't understand that because then it says there was another licensing review that took place there. So I don't know if that facility's license was actually revoked in 2024. I think it was revoked and then reinstated. And then there was a licensing investigation that took place 2025, in the beginning of 2025.
$1 million in fiscal year 2024. They received $3 million. So in 2 years, they got $6.67 million, claiming they have 90 children every day of the week, 5 days a week. So let's find out.
This is the other one that they're going to.
NBA athletes.
And we don't even know if they're paying taxes, but we don't know where this money is going. Is it going to terrorism? Where is it going? But it's.
I mean, I think even if there is
Hassan looking extra chud today. Yeah.
I think even if there is fraud, it's
a Hank Packer.
probably going into the pockets of the people who are doing the fraud and not like, I don't know, funding terrorism. I don't know where these guys got that information from. There was an investigation that was conducted on whether or not any of these funds even went back to Somalia and therefore in the hands of like
does Hassan ever stop talking nonsense? Cooper, are you having trouble keeping up? Do you need me to translate into like 2 syllables or less?
Terrorist elements in Somalia. And
genuine question. Yeah, you just addressed me with all words that are 2 syllables or less. Is that that might be a challenge. God damn, that'd be a... How do I translate what Hassan just said into smaller words? I don't feel like he uses that big of words. Anybody think that Hassan like talking over us? Is he hitting us with the fucking... I can do it? I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm sure he does talk nonsense at some point, but this wouldn't be... Like, it's just more of a self-admission than anything to be like, oh, this is gobbledygook, right? This is not, he's just yapping.
it turns out that wasn't the case. So, you know, that's people, the people don't consume information. Yeah.
It's theft, it's fraud.
So there's a lot of statements that have been made so far. Tim Walz is somehow responsible.
I mean, no, serious question though, Coopers. Do you want the sentences to be shorter? Do you want him to get to the point quicker? Is that what's giving nonsense here? Like, I get that some people don't have time to listen to like a whole ass spiel. Well, I'm sorry for teasing you, Cooper. But you know, if you don't, if you're too sensitive for that, you know, I can take that off as well. Like, I'm not invested in ridiculing you in this chat today, right? You're just a random person that came into my chat. Why would I? And like, I mean, Hassan's not my brother. You know, I don't agree with him all the time. I'm not Hassan's keeper. I'm just surprised to get that, like, question, you know, when what he's saying seems pretty straightforward. But I mean, I don't want to like make assumptions about, you know, what you're dealing with either. I know that sometimes life is pretty overwhelming, and you just want, because like, it's a reasonable thing for you to say, I think he is, like, could he, it's a reasonable thing to say, could he get to the point? If that's what you're saying, I mean, I guess. The reason, though, I think he can't just get to the point, though, here, is that he's trying to correct propaganda. Right? This video doesn't prove anything, but the guy is like performing investigation, expose, right? Undercover, even though he's not undercover. That's part of the problem. I would respect this guy more if he had a hidden fucking camera, right? The fact that he goes in with his fucking camera, right? If I go up to your house, which I wouldn't do because I have respect for you, okay? I have respect for everybody, and nobody should, you know, like, this would be some, like, I don't know, some freaking dog bites or man bites dog kind of shit if a streamer was, like, showed up at a chatter's house. But, you know, if anybody showed up at your house with a phone and was just, like, asking questions, right? You're probably going to slam the door in their face, right? And, you know, if there was rumors about you doing something awful, right? Like you were torturing people in your basement or something like that, then you slamming the door in the content creator's face might actually might actually be seen by the internet as in some way confirming that, even though you're doing a rational thing, right? Some weirdo with a camera or a phone and a microphone, like, coming up to your door. You don't know who the fuck he is. You don't know why the fuck he's there. Yeah, it's a pretty normal response, and that's what he's doing. That I think that is, if you want like a synopsis of this whole thing to kind of pare it down, because I totally understand being overwhelmed with life, and like when somebody just yaps and yaps and yaps, like I'm kind of doing now, your eyes glaze over. It's hard to concentrate on. So, but I'm just trying to like sort of pare it down to make you realize that this video by Nick Shirley, he's not serious, and you can call him Shirley, but this video is, there's not much going on here. You're not seeing proof of anything. That's what you want, right? There's this whole scandal around, this COVID era relief money in Minnesota, and you'd like to have some answers for it. And you do, because there's investigations, there's prosecutions. I believe there's 59 convictions now, if I'm not mistaken. So if you want answers, I mean, I know it might be a lot to ask somebody that's, dealing with life as we all do. But, if you're really into this shit, you can find like the legal stuff online if you want to know about like the prosecutions that have gone forward, the ones that might be still pending, all these different cases of fraud, what was going on, who was orchestrating it. You might be surprised to know that she's not Somali, right? The ringleader of this whole thing. That's part of the story you don't really hear very much about. And so that's what Hassan is trying to do, push back against this torrent of shit that is flowing in the direction of Somali people in Minnesota right now. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Somali flag looking new flag for the state of Minnesota indicates Tim Walz's level of responsibility, even though it was, as I've already, there are a lot of claims that are being made. I'm trying to go through them piece by piece here and show you what the truth is. Obviously, there hasn't really been too much tying Tim Walz into all of this, even though, yeah, as he is the governor and the entire Minnesota state has not offered proper regulatory oversight into a lot of these welfare programs. Tim Walz is responsible for that, right? As the governor, he is in charge of the state, and the state very clearly dropped the ball here, right? This is true. But to what degree they dropped the ball is in question.
And for the record, chat, there are no there's no one being tortured in the chatter's basement, right? That I'll vouch for the chatter on that one, lest somebody think that the thought experiment that I was doing was like a real, statement. I am also not a psychic streamer, so, I don't know how I would know if there was, but I have a pretty good feeling that you don't have, anybody locked in your basement. So I think we're all good on that front. I hope we're all good on that front. Is everybody good on that front? Very unlikely that the chatter has anyone tied up in the basement. Maybe the chatter doesn't even have a basement. This could be a Comet pizza and ping pong type situation where, of course, the alleged horrible event is supposed to have gone on in the basement, and then you find out that, well, wait a minute, the building doesn't actually have a basement. And then you've got two roads diverging, one that says that maybe there's a secret survival vault below from the Cold War era or something like that. I mean, you got to go into like fantasy land at that point if you want to maintain the idea that there's something in the basement, right? But it doesn't mean that there's not something just because there's not something in the basement, just not that sort of thing in that kind of place, right? And we could just, for the sake of peace, accept that the chatter probably does not have anyone locked in the basement or anywhere else.
And did they actually identify the criminal elements and then that's it? Or is it a much larger conspiracy?
And the reason I'm involved is I want it to stop. I care about Minnesota. I'm doing this for the people of Minnesota. I don't make a dime off all this time I've spent on this. I put my life at risk several times, but I'm determined to see this through and to correct what is.
He has said, he's alleged that the Somalis living in Minneapolis, is that where they are very violent. And now he's saying that, you know, talking about how he's had his life threatened and stuff. Hey, I don't think he's given any specific examples. You would think that if, like, his life was in danger, right, that'd be a good story. That'd be a good story for the. This is malpractice by Shirley, by Nick Shirley, sorry, here to not mention that, or not elicit, you know, like, right, you gotta ask your interviewee the right questions, and if it seems like there's a story about their life being in danger, that's probably a pretty good story.
Wrong, what is evil.
Here at Future Leaders Early Learning Center, this building received 3.
This is the Future Leaders Learning Center. Got a licensing review last month. Carpeter rugs were not in good repair. Program space was not clean. Products controlled diaper rash were not properly labeled. The program was not operating within the terms of the license. And there was a correction document that was submitted for everything, and they were approved.
I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son little Joey here. Is there paperwork, or can I check out the daycare? No.
No.
Why can't I check out the daycare?
Do you see how she's looking at him? She's not saying it, chat, but it's got to be on her mind. What is this guy doing?
Martin's not here.
Okay, but if can I get paperwork or anything to submit my son, little Joey, to come in here to daycare?
Again, dog, you have cameras with you. You have
Crotchy says, I predict the old guy will show up on a R pastor arrested or R not a drag queen subreddits. Okay. Some people out there are Redditors and they know what that means, right? That this is Crotchy is saying that David may be, I don't know. Like, again, do your research, right? David's all about doing his own research. So if people do a little research, oh my God, chat, I don't want to sound like I am encouraging this, because I'm not. For the record, all right? For the record, I defer the encouragement. But again, like I said with the, you know, legal documents on the very real fraud that happened in Minnesota by a number of businesses, right? If you want to look at that, into that stuff, if you want to see what the government of Minnesota is done about it, right? It's all there for you, as I'm sure is the, you know, origin story of Nick's friend.
Of a bunch of people of
I gotta shut up because I sound like I'm trying to nudge, like, you know, wink and a nudge, and I'm not.
Of course people are gonna be sussed out. Like,
I am anti-winking, okay? No, I just winked. Fuck me. You can't tell if I'm serious now. That's a bad place to be. There's, I am anti. See, now it's on my brain, right? I am unwinking and I am unnudging. I am anti-winking, anti-nudge. No winks, no nudges, no nothing, okay? That's all.
Even if you were going to do this, you have to bring your little brother or something, okay? Like, you can't just, like, walk up, old white guy and security and a camera crew, and then be like, why are they being weird about this? With no little bro in tow. You got a dude who is supposed to be security with a balaclava on, and you're like, why are they being weird and suspicious? It's a child care center. Of course they're going to be suspicious of random adults that are trying to barge in. Why wouldn't they be? Yeah, especially at a time when there's like heightened tension. Especially at a time when there's heightened tension, they probably, that the white lady chasing them around actually made me realize they probably think these guys are fucking ICE or something. And it
No little bro in tow. That's all you need to know.
doesn't even mean that there's any like undocumented.
These guys are up to no good. There's no little bro in tow. What the fuck are they doing?
Migrants in the facility.
Oh no, the Pepe is winking.
But it doesn't matter, right? Because Donald Trump is saying we're going to go after all the Somalians over and over again. Doesn't matter if all of the Somalians are actually American citizens. They're still understandably
Sorry, chat. Just responding to Twitch emotes. That's a normal thing to do.
worried that the
Oh yeah, and I think I'm required by contract to say poggers every few hours.
president has put a crosshair on them, and they've seen the news reporting on daycare facilities and schools getting raided by ICE, so they understandably want to protect the children.
I feel like no little bro in tow is gonna become like code, right? That's gonna take on its own meaning. When we say somebody's got no little bro on tow, in tow, that is like you are being sus in like a playground or a daycare or whatever environment.
They're not going to let anybody in there. What are you, crazy?
As they have been popping up everywhere as a rise of autism has occurred here in Minnesota because of the government funds that they are receiving. I tried to check my son Joey into an autism center.
We've been going to a lot of these daycare centers. We're trying.
Here's my son. I call him Little Joey O, except he's not here. But we're trying to get a place, a daycare for little Joey. Do you take? Oh, anyway, let me not get in the way of the
Trying
content.
to find a spot for our little boy Joey, but we thought maybe we could check him in the autism center because none of the daycare centers are open. Yeah, and how many kids do you guys have at this autism center?
I feel like I'm gonna hear, "Are you a pedophile?" From at least one of these people. Wait, maybe they did. Maybe they just didn't show that take, right? It feels like he's got it on his mind, right? You know that you can look at his face and see that he what he's thinking, right? That this is like, who is this guy? Who are these guys? Like, what is going on here, right? I've dealt with like one-off creeps like showing up and trying to get inside, but I've never had like a posse of creeps. That's got to be a crazy thing to deal with, like working at one of these places.
I can't give you a number now.
Like more than 5?
Probably, yeah.
Probably, so you don't really know?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about like the fraud that's been labeled on the autism centers here? What do you guys do think about the fraud, or how come the autism centers are popping up?
I can't answer.
What news? Are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here, because there's...
So why are you asking us about like,
Yeah. Who is this Joey?
The fraud?
stuff like that?
Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot.
I was about to say that what Hassan said, no little bro in tow, was the quote of the quote of the episode, right? But no, look at this. This is not a Joey spot. I am sorry, sir. This is not a Joey spot. This autism center does not take Joeys, all right? We take Toms, and we take Roberts, and we take Bethany's, but we do not take Joey's. This is not a Joey spot.
But that's our number on the other building. But this is we can't let you guys in. So.
Yeah, he's like, we can't let you in. This is a childcare facility.
No Joey zone.
Call the number if you want to, if you actually have further questions, or if you want to actually enroll your...
Chat, there's got to be a story behind this. There was like a Joey there at one time, and he was like the worst behaved kid of all. He was like the freaking Damien from The Omen. This kid was drawing like, summoning demons by drawing on the ground in crayon, right? And so they just don't do Joeys anymore. They're they understand that a few good Joeys will get caught up in the, will suffer for the for no good reason. But no, it's we feel safer with a no Joey policy at this particular daycare.
On here,
these people were traumatized by this Joey.
Okay.
I don't understand how anybody watches this and immediately assumes like, oh, these guys are the sus ones, and not dude. This one is called.
Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot. Yeah. But that's her number on you.
Yeah, Minneapolis Autism Center, 621 East 38th Street, Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's the one. If there's actual fraud happening, wouldn't this YouTuber be ruining any chance of actually prosecuting it? It depends. It depends on how much interference that he can have with these places. I don't know. When I see this,
oh yeah, BKK, yeah, that's just true. Yeah, they the reason that they have tinted windows is because creeps will leer otherwise. Unironically.
I don't really understand. All the articles covering this viral video barely mention David, the guy investigating Nick Shirley, which makes this shit even more sus as fuck. Even right-wing media outlets are underplaying the role of David. Who the fuck is that?
Oh my god, chat. No,
Anyway, I have no idea. And Nick Shirley didn't even bring his full name up. And so we have no way of like looking at his background, looking at what his...
Because if the windows were not like tinted, right, they'd like literally have... If somebody like stopped and was just like looking, like they don't know, for what reason, they would just have to like go outside every time and be like, excuse me, sir, you need to move along, right? And that means like potentially confronting, they would rather just not deal with pedophiles at all. I'm sure that is the idea of a daycare, the minimum standard, that your child is safe there.
His credentials are in terms of like conducting investigations such as this one, DHS licensing for this one, for the human services licensing for this one. Is this it? Minnesota Aging and Disability Resources, Minneapolis Autism Center Corporation, the Early Intensive and Developmental Behavioral Intervention Benefit provides treatment for people with autism spectrum disorder and related conditions. This is the place. But it has an address, but on the government website, they literally have a behavioral analyst on staff at the address. Oh yeah, this is the address. Yeah. Okay. Well, you do understand that it's still suspicious because her name is, I'm still sussed out because that's a scary name. And for me, a scary name implies that there is a fraud happening here. You made him mad. People like this comment.
I gotta say, it didn't really dawn on me until just now, but yeah, everybody in this video is like low-key fucked. Like 150 million people saw this. Okay, that's probably a fraction of 150 million people saw this on Twitter. Let's be real. Elon's views aren't real views. They're not even close, right? But still, it's a lot of views, right? If it pushed the fake number up to 150 million. A lot of people saw this shit. And yeah, these people were presented as like criminals, right? That's, if you're a right winger who is enjoying eating this slop, that's what you think, right? That's what you see. You see criminals, you see bad people being caught, and that they got no good explanation, right? You think that they're like randomly being anti-white racist towards Nick, right? This is, if you take this video at face value, right, they're presenting these people in a way that's like really, and like we got like, addresses, at least of employment. We've got the, people's, I mean, even Hassan just doing like the research. Well, I mean, hopefully that's, yeah, obviously that part's not in the video, but so at least it didn't go out on Twitter. But what I mean is just that there's a lot of attention to a lot of people who the only thing they did wrong to be part of that video was show up that day for work. That's all they did. They showed up that day for work, and they got to be, in this guy's video, cast as the evil Somali fraudster. And I mean, that's fucked up.
literally shock their dogs and complain about America 24/7. When someone actually leaves their room to do something, wait for it, then they defend the criminals. I don't know what kind of fraud Somalis and daycares are doing, but I think it's a separate crime to try and storm with a camera into a daycare with kids in it. Why do you get so mad about that? Why won't you?
Oh shit! Wow. Oh shit! Yeah, of course. He shocks his dog. That's the first thing. Okay, not first thing, but like third thing. Wait, no, what is it? Kami first, then shocks dogs. Second thing out of his mouth is, you shock your dog.
Show our group of middle-aged men with cameras where the children are. What are you hiding? The one he showed earlier just got its license 2 months ago. But this is the Super Kids Daycare Center that's new, though. Like, they got a new license now for a day program. Pre-license, it has a pre-licensure review. Prior to receiving a license to operate, one or more visits are made to this program. Please see the initial effective date for the day the license was issued.
That's a $24 billion swing in one biennium. How in the world can you...
Bro talks in bienniums? That's...
burn through $24 billion in 2 years.
Is that like a policy thing?
This is how, right here. This is a huge part of it.
And so would you say a lot of that is fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Absolutely. I would say better than
Do municipal governments work in bienniums?
90% of it is absolute outright fraud.
And a large percentage of...
What the fuck? Next time I'll talk about 3 years, I'm going to call it a triennium. I'll sound so much more impressive.
This fraud is from these healthcare companies that are charging the state millions of dollars while they actually aren't providing anything. In fact, the FBI just did a raid a few days ago on a building similar to the one we are about to enter. Inside of this building, there were 14 of nearly the exact same businesses offering the exact same services.
Right here, you have a list of all of the healthcare companies. Loads of them right here.
It's almost like you're in a medical park.
We want healthcare. Yes, we'd like to speak about getting healthcare here.
This is just like, you look like Johnny, you're acting like Johnny Somali. This is just like, it looks like harassment streaming. Like to the people, and you don't fucking go to a place where you go, can I get some healthcare? Can I please, we're looking for some healthcare. Can we purchase some healthcare? I'd like to buy some healthcare, please. He doesn't, you think, yeah, I don't know. Did he write this as the script? Did he script this out? And, oh.
Here? No. Why can't I get healthcare here?
This is a entirely, okay, see? Notice how this is most likely a healthcare plaza. These sorts of areas exist in Los Angeles too. But like, it's a business park. It happens, like this is normal, okay? For those of you who've never encountered one of these things, it looks suspicious, but it could be normal, except we already know that it's a illegal or, you know, fraudulent business because the government already conducted an investigation. Yeah, it's home health care. They send nurses and doctors to your house. This is my job. You need a doctor's order to get services. And now we need to get into like that investigation, that separate investigation. Oh, this isn't even the fraudulent one. Even if it's fraudulent, you can't record in a medical office. We don't even have any evidence that this is a fraudulent one. He's saying this is a similar place. So it was a healthcare plaza.
Yeah, it takes like a year to get an appointment with a specialist, and he walks up and says, "What?" Yeah. A lot of these places that he's going to are places that you'd get. Well, I mean, you'd either like. I mean, what would you think of this, right? Yeah, like undercover cops, ICE, organized crime. Like, right? You see this walk down like the hallway of you know, your office park or whatever.
Of course they thought he was
like, this shit is not normal in any way.
ICE.
Place I've ever been to get healthcare. Just a bunch of different places. Healthcare.
Dodups, I would call security on him. Yeah.
Here, healthcare right here. Another healthcare.
Brody's never been to a medical plaza. Have you never seen like do you not have like a dentist? My dentist's office is in a very similar environment. Do you think that all matter of healthcare is conducted in just like a hospital setting or something? Is that what's going on here? This looks almost identical to my dentist's office. I guess he's fraudulent. He's a fraud.
I'm gonna have, if you guys are all good, we're gonna step outside and we can continue this conversation.
All right, let's leave. So, all right, we're getting escorted out right now. The police have arrived. When we were checking out the rates, seeing what was happening inside this building, no one would really speak with us. We did go inside the one daycare center, and she actually did give us rates for childcare. Much respect to that lady.
Wait. So they didn't show that part, right?
What's the problem, officer?
So there actually was a daycare in there that that they got like what quotes from?
Well, so again, we've been getting reports from multiple individuals that you guys were
That place does out calls.
harassing individuals who work here.
Oh, look, somebody did call security or cops on them.
The blue, baby. Thin blue line. Thin blue line.
You know what? If you called security, right? If there was a building security and you called it and you said these guys have got balaclavas on, I bet security calls the cops. I bet security is like, I don't get paid enough to deal with guys with balaclavas. I am calling 911.
This is so stupid, dude. Oh my.
Because like it's one thing for them to be like out in the street, you know, in front of a daycare with that shit. It's still it's still, you know, pretty extreme. But like to be coming into a medical park like that, it very much would you be scared? Like if you were a patient there, right? Or I don't think they're out calls, so they're not seeing patients there. But if you were anybody there delivering, you know, stuff to there, right? If you saw that shit walking down the hall, would you kind of just get the fuck out? Would you maybe run because I would not. I'm not standing around to find out like what the purpose of these guys, you know, obscuring their identities like that is. I am going to assume it's something very bad.
God, yeah.
At the end of the day, this is private property, and it's one that people are allowed to ask you to leave, and it's also one the Minneapolis Police Department is allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance at this address.
Yeah.
So
as we got escorted out of this building, the Somalis filmed us as we left, and we headed over to the next
The Somalis, right? He's talking about them like they're a hive mind.
building that had 20.
This is not pluribus.
Two of the same home health care providers operating from inside.
Okay. This video gets increasingly dumber because now he's just straight up going to medical plazas. I assume that there has to be enough people that have encountered a medical plaza, right? Like, because if you look at this and you go, that's kind of normal. Like, I was with you the first half, but like now you're just stretching it, right? It's just like, it doesn't even make any sense.
That is crazy. Like he's lucky he didn't get fucking like violently taken down.
Going to a medical plaza and being like, isn't this
like, yeah, Nadia's pointing out that very much looks like an armed robbery, right? Yeah, they're really lucky that they got, you know, cops that were willing to just be like, hey, you need to leave, instead of just like, you know, handcuffing them first and asking questions later.
Vicious? It's like a chatter.
That would have been never mind. I'm not gonna say that I would have enjoyed that. Okay, that's not.
Said like you go to the food court and you're like, why is the Wendy's next to Burger King?
That's how propaganda gets you. You know.
They're both serving burgers. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird at this food court? Someone needs to investigate this.
Right here you have Den Eritrean Development Association of Minnesota. Another child care center. Welcome to Bright Beginning Center. But what do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Sorry. No comments. Can I please?
Right here you have
Yo, thanks for the shout out.
Serenity Quality Care. All of these businesses are literally the same type of business, providing the same service in the same building. Another Convenience Home Healthcare, Aid, Inc., and Child Friendly Space. All these companies get money from the government. Why would the same company essentially inside of the same building, door to door? Right here, Queenly Home Healthcare. It just does not make sense. If you're trying to operate a business, you'd want to have less competition.
Oh my God, he's just that stupid.
They would want to have not the competition. There's too many businesses that are too similar right by each other. And when people come to the medical mall, because that's what this place is, people go to this place in this guy's brain to shop for medical care, to go down, that one has a good logo. Ooh, but that logo is even better. Ooh, let me look at this one. Ooh, right? I don't know. Decide which healthcare service you would like to buy healthcare from and just walk in the door and try on some healthcare? I don't know.
Oh my God. Brother just looked at the concept of a mall and said, this doesn't make economic sense. I can, like, 90% of conservative argumentation relies on just their sheer inability to understand how things work, assuming that there is a massive conspiracy. We saw this with the vaccines. We saw this with the way that they talk about like any sort of like medical intervention that takes place with abortions, right? Where they describe it in such like gruesome terms. It's just, yeah. I mean, it's the world is a terrifying place if you genuinely are stupid. The world's got to be a terrifying place. There's a lot of sounds. There's a lot of lights. It's like a fucking caveman that was under a rock, trapped in fucking ice, and they thawed him, and now they just like released him into the wild, and he's like, what is all these lights? Like the irony here is, even if there is an argument to be made about
he's the Encino Man,
like fraudulent activity taking place in these medical plazas or medical facilities or whatever, he is not even remotely tackling that. Like there is no
he honestly needs like a partner. He needs like another dude there that's funny. That would make him tolerable, right? If he had a Pauly Shore.
Here whatsoever.
I think we all kind of need a Pauly Shore.
He's just looking at a normal thing, a medical plaza, and inviting unnecessary scrutiny to it by going, isn't it strange that the concept of a medical plaza exists? Yeah, man, totally unique, fascinating concept.
But here, they have all of their competition right next door. We're wondering, because we hear there's lots of fraud taking place here in Minnesota, and we're wondering, why is there so many of the same companies?
Like, for real, chat, even just liminal spaces are creepy, right? If you've ever been in, like, you know, an office that's got a certain look, or, you know what I mean, at night, and there's, like, nobody there. Like, even, like, my school, like, used to be, like, on the weekends, you could go there to, like, you know, study, but they turned like the lights off in the basement, and so it looked super creepy.
He's inside of this same building.
No, I don't know that.
And there's like, you know, when there's no one there, it just becomes a different place.
What do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't have any idea about that fraud. Okay, that's it.
What do you think about the news articles and what's being spread on the news about the fraud?
Right now, you are doing something wrong.
I'm just asking.
Yes. I was waiting for somebody to say just that to him. Yes.
Asking you.
No, you
about
don't
the
have
fraud.
to ask me. Okay, don't ask me that question again. Okay.
Okay. Who can I speak to?
For the chatter that wanted it fucking boiled down to them, there it is, right? Maybe Hassan uses too many words. Maybe I use too many words, but there it is, plain and simple. You are doing something bad.
Who can I speak to? Okay.
Well, this guy...
You should speak to God and, you know, ask for forgiveness. That's you should...
That I asked a bunch of random questions was positively rude to me. Must be a conspiracy, or maybe he don't want to deal with your dickhead ass, dude.
As soon as you confront him about the fraud, they get angry. When these people have these...
This is, dude, I'm telling you, this is the reason why it's like dumber than like normal, like Project Veritas style conspiracy theories. And
can you imagine what happens there too? Because there's probably like you know, the offices there probably have each other's numbers, and after one person has like an awkward interaction with this guy, they're probably calling the other people, hey, look, there's a guy outside, you know, there's a guy in the hallway, there's like 4 guys in the hallway. Do not let them in. I don't know what they're doing, but they look like they are up to no good. Like, this is like, we barely got rid of them. Do not open up for them.
And therefore, it's even more successful than that, because everyone has become even dumber over the years. It's like looking at, you know, the Vitaly style pedo hunters and saying, fuck it, I have a different approach. And just
Is that what this is, chat? Is this just Mama Max? Are we Mama Maxing like 2 years later?
Walking up to random people and accusing them of being a pedophile with a camera crew. And then when they yell...
I never understood the Mama Max shit, right? There's so many like memes that come from that content, and it sounds funny. Is this dude also a Mormon? Yes, as a matter of fact, he is. He did content several years ago and then left to go on his mission. And apparently it's since he's come back that he's gone on this like right wing. He used to make like Mr. Beast type videos. You know what I'm saying? Like hype videos, like early, I think it's like early Mr. Beast. I'm not a Mr. Beast viewer. This is just what I've heard from other people. And yeah, he, you know, kind of flipped at some point and started doing this kind of content. And he's like, this is what I'm saying. He's been rewarded. And he is proof that you don't need any talent. You don't need any talent, any understanding. You know, you don't have to find anything real. You can just literally hold cameras in people's faces. And the fact that they are not, you know, that they want to shut the door on you, you will claim as proof that they are trying to hide something, right? It's just theater. It's really bad theater, but somehow it works. Somehow it's all pared down to this, right? It's like, you know, the simple simple fraud person bad Somali. Like that's all that's going on here. There's not a lot of brain activity contributing to the performance and then interpretation of this. It is just a very simple you know, reptilian minded code going on here between between content creator and audience.
I'll let you go, what the fuck are you saying?
And sadly, that audience includes a lot of our government. Yeah, these are a lot of fucking the Trump administration is like, oh, did you see that video that Nick Shirley guy? Oh, that was amazing.
Away from me, go. Clearly, this guy's a pedophile. How the fuck do we arrive at something even dumber? Like that was already annoying, and now this is one step dumber than that. Instead of doing the previous like potentially pre-scripted or you know potentially weirdly crafted pedo hunter videos, he's literally walking around and being like, I'm parked outside of this school in my van. And you won't believe it. Adults holding the hands of children. Clearly, there is a mass pedophilia epidemic taking place here. We are now going to investigate. And then walking up to parents taking their kids out of school and being like, why are you trying to fuck this kid? Tell me why you're trying to fuck this kid, you pedophile. And then when they go, dude, I'm calling the cops on you, he goes, well, the cops are taking me out of this very clear pedophilia operation because I've arrived at the truth. The cops must be in on it.
And then they just file those with the state of Minnesota, and nobody from the state of
Wait, did Burple's chat get pulled up on the stream?
Minnesota bothers to check that those services were ever provided.
So they're essentially just using people saying that they had these services provided months or even years ago, then filing the paperwork and then receiving money from the government.
Right, and the Somali community is a very closed community, so everybody's in on it, and they don't want to talk, as you can see.
And for this building, I'm going to give an estimate of around $30 million for how much fraud is taking place. That is a very low estimate. However, still a lot of money in fraud. And do you think there is fraud taking place here?
I don't know. Yeah.
Do you have any idea what any of these businesses are doing?
I never ask.
And now with upwards of 100
Well, I'm convinced. Bro, would you believe if I were to tell you that JD Vance, who is a Yale Law School graduate, posted this video on his vice president Twitter account saying this
Wait, how long is the delay on Twitch? I thought the delay was shorter on Twitch.
Journalism is worthy of a Pulitzer Prize. Would you believe me if I told you that the guy who wrote a book, Hillbilly Elegy, who was a darling of liberals, who went to Yale, so we know he's literate. Would you believe me if I said that? Because it did happen. He did say that. He did post that. He said, this dude has done far more useful journalism than any of the winners of the 2024 Pulitzer Prize Center. 235,000 likes.
From the creator of They're Eating the Cats, They're Eating the Dogs. I give you, this dude deserves a Pulitzer.
The journalism is yelling, strapping a camera on and yelling at yelling outside of random childcare facilities, demanding to see the children, going to a medical plaza and saying, "Isn't it suspicious?"
No, I really want to know. Did you get pulled up on Hassan's stream? I couldn't tell. The delay is way shorter for me. Yeah, that's what and you know what? I should
different healthcare facilities next to one another in this medical plaza.
$1 million in fraud will be headed to one more daycare, and this one gets a little spicy as we get chased out.
A spicy daycare? Okay, what? We're gonna head for one more daycare. Like, I don't know. This makes it seem like this is gonna be a daycare run by outlaws, like from the Wild West, and they're gonna do like a duel with him or something. They're gonna have a shootout at the OK Corral. Like, what is he? What is, like? He's got to set this up as the final boss, right? So it's got to be impressive like that. It's got to be something crazy. It's got to be like, you know, like a pirate jumps out at him and says, "Arr, where you be carousing about our daycare, pirate daycare." Chat, would you send one in chat if you would send your kid to a pirate daycare, a daycare where all of the employees were forced to dress as pirates and speak in a pirate type accent? And call I got too excited there. And call your children shipmates. Right? Would that be an I? We got some I's in chat. We got some R-mateys in chat.
Very end. And after this, we'll be heading to the state capitol to confront the incompetent government leaders who have enabled this fraud to happen.
And I knew this video was going to be super dangerous to film because of obviously how
Wait, what? Why? Imagine if he did this with Jewish doctors, medical part. Yeah, dude, exactly. Oh, Cedar Sinai? That's not American. What kind of language is this? We investigated on a Saturday, Cedar Sinai Hospital, and they're stopping at every floor. What is the...
I wouldn't want to Jack Sparrow pill them? What, because of Johnny Depp?
secret that they're hiding? Why do they want the elevators to stop at every floor? I will not...
Chat, I somehow, like, when Johnny Depp, Amber Heard was going on, I was just annoyed. Like, that, you know, there was so much, like, I was just like, I don't care. I was like, I'm not going to pay attention to divorce or no, it wasn't even divorce proceedings, right? It was the defamation case that he filed against her. And so I purposely avoided all Johnny Depp Amber Heard content. And I only recently started to, like, you know, try to figure out exactly what happened. And that shit is wild. Like, I guess I see now why people got pulled in.
Be asking any further questions.
But yeah, apparently Hassan had a take about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing that that some people say is a little bit sus.
And I just assume it's Judaism at play. Well, in that situation, it would literally be Judaism at play. But, like, you see what I'm saying? Isn't it weird how all these doctors are Jewish? What are they doing to their children? Something nefarious is afoot.
Hostile it is, and as we are exposing legit fraud happening, I did get security for this video, and I was able to do it through the Black Line Guardian. And if you guys want to help fund my security in the future.
What? Is he doing an ad for their... He's doing a separate ad for Uber for private security.
The things happening, and especially with this fraud. Like,
can somebody explain this to me? Black Line Guardian? Is this like part of the Uber app? I have not used Uber in a long time, but is this an option in Uber that you can get a security Black Line Uber? What is this? This is new to me, just like the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing is. I was unironically frozen in a time capsule, chat. And I gotta legitimately ask you, why are the Republicans so hostile to anyone wearing a mask?
Like I said,
unless it's ICE.
They're not sponsoring this video. I'm just giving them a shout out because of how they helped me. So go down to the link down below, click Guardian for Nick, and let's keep going. And now we're going to the next location. Now, this child daycare center, this one's different than all the other ones we've been to. Tell us about this one.
This one is different because, according to the state of Minnesota, this 312 West Lake Street houses not one, not two, but 3 child care centers and is licensed to hold 102 children.
The final boss of Somali daycares, right? This is...
And in fiscal year 2025 was paid $2.66 million by the state of Minnesota.
And this is the building right here. So this building alone made $2.6 million. Let's see if anybody's inside. Now we're inside of the building.
The way people came in to this broadcast, like hot as hell about this massive investigation that was conducted, the way that they made it seem, I thought that there was going to be like at least some evidence. And it turns out the only evidence is that he just goes around straight up fucking demanding entry into what it seems like is childcare facilities. And then when either no one opens the door or when the people that open the door turn around and say, no, you can't come in here. What the fuck's wrong with you? He just goes, aha, the proof is right there. They wouldn't let me and my weird friends that look like ICE agents and my camera crew into this facility where there are children. This must mean that there aren't any children there. Like, even if every single fucking facility that he visited 100% was fraudulent, he did not prove any of it. Like, he didn't even do it at all. Even if every single facility he went to was fraudulent and had no children whatsoever in it and all this shit, it would be pure happenstance that he arrived at this conclusion. Well, not pure happenstance.
He set himself up so there was no way that he was going to be able to prove anything, right? What he did, like, there's no way that you're going to uncover anything with that strategy. Yeah, it's like, again, I hesitate to even call it investigative journalism, right? Like, this is as much investigative journalism as if I go into like a grocery store with a camera crew and I'm like, can you prove that your lettuce doesn't have, I don't know. I don't know. It's just like, you know, like you make up some fucking allegation, some crazy allegation, like this store is selling lettuce with banana slug jizz in it. And then you go to the store with cameras and you're like, are you selling I heard that this, you know, grocery store sells lettuce with banana slug jizz. Can we look at your lettuce? Are you sure there's no banana slug jizz? Yeah, this store, it has banana don't buy the lettuce because there's, like, right, if you started telling people not to buy the lettuce because it had banana slug jizz in it, I'm not even sure if banana slugs jizz, maybe don't they do docking, maybe? Is that how I think that's how slugs, anyway, chat, like, right, and I got kicked out of the store and I was like, aha, there's your proof. There's they're letting the banana slugs go nuts in those, literally go nuts in those lettuces that they have there. Where are your milk suppliers? It's giving Jacob Wool press conference.
Let's be real, it's racism. But like, he just straight up didn't prove dick. He didn't even provide any evidence whatsoever. We have been able to find more information about these facilities online that he should have looked into beforehand. If he wanted to invite reasonable scrutiny to the care and consideration that these kids were going through, right, in this otherwise government-funded program, then he could have just at least presented the actual claims. He could have, at the very least, shown what we have shown so far. He could have greatly over exaggerated the conditions in the facilities and be like, these facilities are in a state of dire disrepair. Look at how devastating it is. What are our children going through? All this stuff. Or even if he wanted to continue along with this like mass fraud, right? Mass fraud conspiracy, he could have said, who's in on it? Maybe the government is in on it. Clearly, they claim to have gone into these facilities.
I'm just saying you could do this shit to like any place of business, right? Make up some accusation, yell at them to let you see their business while you're saying, you know, that they're doing whatever horrible thing, you know, letting the slugs go to town on the lettuce heads, for instance, right? The restaurant or the grocery store, saying that implying that the grocery store is owned by banana slug fetishists, perhaps.
And have actually seen the children. And I didn't see any children. What the fuck's going on there? I tried to like he could have gone online, tried to actually he could have gone online and then tried to actually get his brother or something, like his little bro or a relative to sign up for these child care facilities. He could have investigated it further. He could have called ahead of time.
Get your little bro in tow. If to the child care you want to go, you better have your little bro in tow, or else you just look like a pedo.
Like, there are so many things you can do in this situation to craft an even better narrative. But why would you have to craft a better narrative when clearly this kind of idiocy actually works? Perhaps works a little bit better. And then he turns around and fucking tweets a poly market bet. Time for people to learn. Time for people to leer the hard way. I guess it's because he's like the learning center is learn.
It's the closest thing to like a line or a joke that I have heard from this guy so far. Latter-day Mafia tactics. I feel he does other like Mormon content creators I feel like he reflects badly on them. I feel like he is like so less skilled that like than, you know, but yeah, Latter-day Mafia tactics indeed.
Leering center, right? Is that what he's making a joke about? Let's see what a source that is beholden by ethics and not clicks has.
Do you think? I don't think he does his own tweets. I feel like this guy couldn't make that joke. I don't think he would think of it. He's got to have somebody doing his Twitter for him. The leering joke. There's no way. I think that's his Twitter team or something, right?
To say, oh, it's entirely different. The opposite even. Wait, it debunks all of Nick Shirley's lazy claims in an article from the 4th. Surely he did some fact checking. What to know about Minnesota fraud allegations as Trump levels attacks on Tim Walz. A series of multi-million-dollar alleged fraud schemes in Minnesota has drawn the Trump administration's attention in recent weeks, vaulting an issue. Bro, this is, by the way, exactly what happened with the fucking cats and dogs. Springfield, Ohio, Haitians are eating cats and dogs. Okay? And then every place.
This son sounds like a war veteran here. You know what I mean? Springfield, Ohio, 2024. We thought that maybe we could have a little, oh my God, what the fuck was Kamala's like catchphrase? Chat, I've forgotten it. It was so bad that I don't remember the slogan. What Kamala's gonna bring? I can't fucking remember what it was. The most lethal military. She did say that, but didn't she have some like it was supposed to be like Obama's hope? Was it joy? Oh my God. Yeah, like right, was it like the was the meme like you write joy out like the Brat album cover? And we're not going back. Oh God, we did go back. And the coconuts. Now I remember. It's all coming back to me, chat. The whole Brat summer. Yeah, it was. I think it was joy. I think you're right, Purple. She peaked at Coconut Tree, pretty much.
Every place in Springfield, Ohio started getting death threats and bomb threats for the next week. Why are we living like this? How do we can't continue living like this where we're just beholden to the schizophrenic tendencies of like 30% of the fucking population. Now you got motherfuckers talking about hunting daycare facilities, doxing people that work there. Ask Grok for an extensive list of daycares in your city. Don't pay attention to the list it gives you. Click the link it provides. Here's an example in Columbus, Ohio. Then go hunting. The first 3 I pulled up were Star Wars names. Star Wars names is, I guess, the names of the administrators are not white.
Where there's apparently 4 childcare centers. We met this lady and we followed her to the back of the
fucking dumb. This video is so stupid. And if you actually got duped by this video, I'm calling into question your actual level of intelligence. We followed this lady. Sorry, doesn't matter. You're barely literate if you watch this video and you were like, well, a lot of good points were made. Like, if you looked into the background of the actual fraud that took place in Minneapolis, that's one thing. Because actual fraud did take place in Minneapolis, right? Through a charity scheme, and maybe even some of that was related to child care facilities, right? But this video doesn't prove it. This video doesn't even bring that up. They bring it up one time. One time do they even bring up the one guy. And it's so crazy.
They want to terrify these people so they leave. Yeah, that's basically what Asmongold said, Rach.
Has to be the local government, yeah.
Oh, we've asked. We have the paper here. So we're wondering where the money and where the children are at. We have the paper right here. Come here.
Who are you, first of all?
My name's Nick Shirley.
You don't have any permission to record me, period.
Can we talk outside?
You don't have permission.
Is he the final boss? You know, I bet this wasn't even like the last place they went. I bet they just they thought that this one looked like the most dramatic or something. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see if I ever unpause it. Brat Summer was possibly the worst decision in branding I'd ever seen. It screamed spoiled brat, gig, Summer, no health. Yeah, where she started to be like Kamala as brat. I mean, there's also a little bit of a like, hello fellow kids in that as well, don't you? A little bit of a, I don't know.
To record.
She doesn't either have. She doesn't have permission to record me.
You cannot stop people on the street and question them.
We can ask.
You don't have any permission.
Where are the children?
I will sue you. You don't have any permission. We have nothing to do with this. You understand?
Then are there
children? So leave. Please leave.
Are there children?
If the dude who came here from Somalia, whose second language is English, has a more competent grasp over the language, has a more competent command over the language than you, when you are a monolingual dip, you really got to reconsider.
Wouldn't people have to sign waivers to be filmed, considering the money he's making on the video? He's gonna get sued? Yeah, I don't know. What is the rule around that? Like, it's somehow if you're in a public place, you can be filmed, right? But I don't know what, like, so if he's filming somebody like through the doorway, is that considered like a, filming into the private business? Is that, or are you considered to be in public because you opened the door and you're visible from the publicly accessible sidewalk? I'm not sure how it works. Pokemon go to the polls. You know that John Lovett of the Podjohns confessed to having written that line for Hillary and then immediately said that he was kidding, or is he? He was doing the thing that I was trying not to do earlier, right? He was doing the wink and the nudge, but for real, right? I'm not ever trying to wink and nudge you, right? I say what I say straight up. So don't go looking for breadcrumbs or anything like that. Anyway, the daycare could could probably sue him if he misrepresents. Yeah, because at least one of these daycares, like, for sure, we know, like, I think more than one of them we know had kids, and he's pretty much alleging that they don't. You cannot be filmed at a doctor's office. I mean, some of those, yeah. At the medical park, I guess that applies.
Go back to the drawing board. You got to go back to school. Like, it's just shocking that adults watched this video and went, wow, this guy's fucking brilliant.
You have
Where are the children at?
Leave.
We just want to know, where are the children?
Who you work for?
My name's Nick Shirley.
Who do you work for?
I work for myself, Nick Shirley.
Okay, what are you recording?
We're wondering, where are the children? $2.66 million for
You're not talking
the
to
Minnesota
right person.
Child Care Center.
You're not talking to the right person.
Are there children that come here? Question, are there children?
Leave.
There's no children inside this.
I don't know who you talking to. Leave.
That's just a simple question. Where are the children at? David, they won't even answer. We asked
Where are the
them.
children?
Plain and simple, where are the children? Do children come here?
We said bring out the kids.
This is why I've had my life. I've been attacked twice.
Dude.
Probably because you're acting like a pedophile. Probably because you're acting like a freaking creep.
Respond to you. Why would they invite you in? If anything, if they actually invited you in, that would be a violation. I'm not one of these guys that talks about, I mean, look, this is not to make this like super racial, because I know we got a lot of like Asman Botter fans in the chat right now, and they're going to get really triggered whenever, but this is a little bit of a caucasity. This is a little bit of white entitlement, I think. Like the sense of entitlement from a 23-year-old dip running around being like, I demand you give me everything. I demand you show me everything. Like, black dude does this, they're getting cooked. Imagine black dude doing this. Imagine a Muslim dude doing this outside of like,
you know, when I said this earlier, yeah, there's the one thing I didn't connect there. Yeah, if these guys were not white, that situation where they looked like they were robbing a fucking medical park might have gotten a lot different.
Jewish hospitals or synagogues or whatever, oh my Lord, they would be in prison.
Once with a knife, and the other time I was jumped last Saturday by 3 Somali men simply for asking questions about what was going on. And they're very, very violent people. They do not like this fraud to be exposed.
What if somehow he was mixed up and it was really sommeliers that he had the bad experience? Like it wasn't, he just didn't know. He thought that sommeliers were called Somalis, right? For short. And so he didn't even have anything to do with this. He just had a bad experience with some sommeliers when he insulted the bottle that they offered, right? He said that their taste was trash, right? That was his experience, was violent sommeliers, not Somalis.
After giving this man plenty of opportunities to answer the simple question, where are the children, he called the cops on us, and we headed to the state capitol where they're having a meeting about
they got that Somali flag up there.
Wow, it seems to me like the cops are in on it, I guess, because they keep siding with the Somali population here. Twice now.
I think the fact that
Because
you're talking about it as a partisan issue.
because that's what I heard you talking about. That
I know what I said is that
because
what we're talking
we want
about
to we want to build trust, but fraud is fraud. So why should we be enabling fraud to happen here?
No, I don't
Fraud is bad. Why are you in favor of fraud?
think anybody is enabling fraud to
When are you
happen.
going to hold Governor Walz accountable for this?
Okay, sir.
No. This
Sir,
is not.
sir.
When are you going to hold Governor?
His eyes are fucking wild. Like I wish the camera was from behind her. Because this guy is way overexcited. Like, there's a way to ask this question. News, reporters do this all the time, where the question, even if it's not taken, especially with somebody like Trump, who often, will avoid taking questions he doesn't want to answer. But if you can kind of yell with a little bit of desperation in your voice, the thing that everybody's thinking, it's very impactful. He's trying to do this, but he's trying to do exactly that, but he's overacting. He is a little too zealous about going after Walz. He's a little too transparent, right? In this, like, when are we gonna finally hold Tim Walz accountable? How does he keep on getting away with this stuff? First the misremembering Tiananmen Square's date. And then the military service thing. Now this.
Walz, no. She is a representative for the state of Minnesota. Yes or no?
Excuse me?
Yes. Are you?
If you're going to talk to me like
Are
that.
you going to say to her, I'm a disability advocate.
I heard you, and
I get
you got a chance
overstimulated.
to testify.
Thank you for testifying today.
He got overstimulated, chat. Where's this guy coming from? I keep on hearing about the woke right, but I'm never entirely sure what the woke right is. Is this? Are we looking? I'm doing the butterfly meme, chat. Is this the woke right? I literally don't know.
Ma'am, the facts are the facts that fraud is.
I'm not going to say anything, but soy right. I'm not going to say anything, just soy right. I'm just going to say soy right.
Private providers have made government a mark. And so every person running government, Democrats or Republicans, are dealing with the issue of how to keep fraudsters out of our public payment. We're also dealing with veterans. We're dealing with consumers. I hope you're looking at that. If you look at United Health, currently is being charged with defrauding Medicare. You know who runs Medicare? President Trump. Medicaid fraud is a 50-state issue. And so
I can't believe there is one person with two fucking.
He's like, yeah, but if I make a video about how Donald Trump is responsible for this, I'll only get 10,000 views. I want to get 10 million
brain cells or 2+ brain cells of the video. And it's all the way at the fucking end. It's just like the entire video was straight up the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever encountered in my life. Nick, Shirley, and the other guy just running around being like, yeah, why can't I see the kids? I don't want to diddle them. Why can't I see the kids? Only at the last 2 minutes do you actually have a credible human being.
How many more people are gonna freaking die? How many more people are gonna go homeless? And how many more people are gonna be trafficked in our freaking system?
He's just overacting. Like, what is
the saddest?
It's just like improv. Is he doing improv? I don't get it.
Part about this is that it's not even FIFA prize, dude. They're gonna make the Pulitzer do this. Okay, they're gonna give the Pulitzer to this guy because every institution is so servile to the silly demands of Donald Trump that next time.
Why does Hassan have a jar of spaghetti sauce next to him?
It is going to be the Nobel Peace Prize. Next time, it is going to be the actual Pulitzer that gets given to this guy. And then we just have to sit there and act like these things are worth a damn any longer.